Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods back together on a Monday. Let's get our heads right as best we can. It is Monday, March 20th. We are 10 days away from opening day, and it feels good. Tomorrow we'll be down in the single digits, and that's when you really start to get filled with excitement and get all tingly. I've got breaking news for everyone listening. It's raining again. Shocker. Raining, sprinkling lightly, rained pretty heavily overnight. The roads are wet. It's very slick. So yeah, got a few more days of this, and then it looks to be moving out of our area. Hopefully for a long, long while. We've got a lot of stuff coming up outside that we want to make sure is not underwater. So hopefully we get that done. Please be careful on your drive in this morning. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer, YouTube director, man about town. There he is. Good morning, Paulie.
Smash that like, drop a subscribe.
Drop that subscribe. That's important. I didn't realize how important it is for people to actually subscribe to your
Leave
YouTube.
a comment.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Even literally just clicking the thumbs up
helps
on
us.
The video. It helps us.
That's good. All right. So
I'm not gonna.
Don't listen.
I feel weird like soliciting it every single day, but we're still building the channel. We're still starting out, and look, ultimately, it does help. It's stupid, but it makes a difference.
If you listen to this program and you enjoy this program, let's be honest with each other. You're basically a freeloader. You get this for free. You're generally a no good freeloader by listening to local radio. You don't pay a nickel. You don't have to go see our advertisers. We want you to, but it doesn't cost you a dime, not one dime.
The least you can do.
The least you could do is go hit subscribe and tell some friends to do the same. You freeloading turds. I love you guys, though. Couldn't do this without you. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood non-bespectacled sports anchor, is here. What is going on? Now I'm domed out because you don't have your specs on. Did you get contacts?
No, just Monday morning, and I left them in the car instead of putting them on as I came up. I don't really need them for close up. I can read what's right in front of me. I'm nearsighted.
Question.
So if I need to read an eye chart, I'm in trouble. But usually you don't ask me to read anything far away during this show.
Do you ever forget stuff?
Oh, yeah, of course. Definitely. We all forget stuff. So
none more than you.
So problem with the rain, other than the normal getting in the way of all of our outdoor activities like golf or beach or whatever you want to do, is all the rain has led to this just beautiful, everything is so green and lush and everything is growing. But that leads to allergies. And I had a bunch of allergies this weekend. And then all these little plants also lead to bugs. And I was out at Goat Hill Park wearing my Goat Hill and my Link Sole today.
Yep.
And I breathed in a bug. Not like swallowed a bug. It didn't just go in my mouth or like into my the back of my throat and I swallowed it. I actually was right in the middle of one deep breath in. I saw it kind of fly by the corner of my eye, and then I felt it fly all the way down, like inhaled it deeply, like rich and deeply. And I was coughing and coughing and coughing, and nothing came out. And I think it's still in there. Occasionally, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I feel it living inside of me, making a new home and a family down there. And I don't know what to do. I can't get it out. It's just there. Do I need surgery? What do I need to get rid of this tiny little, like a gnat or something that is now inside of me?
All right. So do you have any idea? Do you remember the size?
It felt like it was very little and black just out of the corner of my eye. Like a gnat is what I'm thinking.
I feel like there's no way a gnat survives down through the...
What kind of bugs survive, though? I mean, it's not like they're fairly hardy creatures, aren't they?
If it gets down in your throat throat has acid.
It's not in my throat, though. It's in my lung.
It bypassed the throat immediately.
No, it went right straight down, breathe deeply, inhale, like right into the lungs, not into the throat. Felt like it went way down, like in.
You just got to get it down into your stomach then.
It's not, but it missed. There's like a fork in the road.
And it took the one less traveled.
It took the one less traveled. It went down.
Robert Frost.
Yes.
On a Monday.
And I'm just picturing okay, so it's down there. And I mean, it's got air because all the air is coming down That's where all my air goes. So it's getting great oxygen. It's warm.
Do you feel it right now?
It's moist. It's a good environment, and I don't know what it's eating. I'm assuming me. It's just me. It's eating me,
and it's eating your lungs
from the inside, and it's starting a family. I just don't know what's going on down there, and I can't get it out.
2 roads diverged in a chubby man's throat, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down as far as I could go to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was gassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there, had warned them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay and leaves no back.
It's a much longer poem than I remember.
Had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day.
I never made it this far.
Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a chubby man's gullet, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Just means don't always be a follower. Don't do everything same thing everybody else does.
Exactly.
Do your own thing.
Take
sometimes.
the road less traveled. Also, if you do the road less traveled, be prepared to get lost a lot. Be prepared to get lost a lot as you find your way through this. Through life, maybe through your innards. It's scary. It's a little bit creepy. The fact, all I would think about is that it's down there and it's hatching larvae.
That's what I'm thinking about.
And then my stomach or my lungs will be filled with gnats.
Tim says, I've seen this movie. Didn't end well for John Hurt. I don't even know what movie that is. Is it like The Bug or The Fly or something? Do they get eaten alive from the inside? It's been 2 days, and I still feel like it's down there.
I think you're doming yourself out. I don't think there's any way a gnat could survive down there. Now, it could be a cockroach, a baby cockroach.
Really? Oh.
Those will survive anything.
Right. The apocalypse.
Yes.
They're around forever. Do they fly, though?
Yeah.
Cockroaches fly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Why do they always live under refrigerators and stuff?
I don't know, but
if I could fly, I'd be like out and about.
Yeah, they can definitely fly. I'd be a little nervous if I were you.
Felt smaller than that, but maybe just a baby.
A baby cockroach.
Yeah. All right, that's my weekend. How was yours?
The worst weekend I've ever heard.
T-ball. I saw some T-balling from your son, Bo.
Did have the rite of passage for father and son this weekend, and got to tell you, it did not disappoint in the slightest. It was pretty legendary to be able to go out and coach my kid up and watch all the practice that we put in come to fruition, and it was really special. He hit the ball hard all 3 times. I would say a 3 for 3, pretty easily, and then made every play. Now, the interesting thing about T-ball, and those of you that have coached T-ball, you know your main goal on defense is there's 2. 1, don't get any kids hurt. Okay. Number 2 is try to make an out. If you can get one,
I didn't realize there's ever been an out made in T-ball.
So we actually had an out made against us first, and the competitive juices started to flow. Like, that guy had no business making that play. We need to make one. I was talking with my other assistant coaches, my buddy Travis, and he goes, we got to get an out. I go, yeah, we have to get an out. We have to. I'm not going to not get an out today.
Usually the only time outs are made is when the runner doesn't understand the concept of going to the base and randomly runs places to maybe the guy with the ball who then tags him. And those are the only T-ball outs that are made.
The funny thing is, though, is you still let that kid stand on base.
Right.
So, but
it would hurt their feelings to make them go back to the dugout.
And sit in the dugout. That's the other thing I realized is, look, we don't keep score. Your main goal is, I hope they have a blast. I hope they learn a little bit, little something about, hey, where to go, where to stand, to be ready when the pitch is, the quote unquote pitch is coming, as it's on a tee. But so I had Bo at third base, and they had an entire lineup of lefties. Nobody even hit one to third. So I asked him, in this first inning, I go, hey, you want to move over to the pitcher spot, and where they're kind of nubbing everything up the middle? I said, you'll get some action. And he looked at me and tears in his eyes. He goes, no, I don't want to. I go, why? He goes, I don't know what to do. And I go, you do. You've taken 25,000 ground balls. We throw ground balls every night in the living room. You know how to field ground balls. I don't want it. I go, all right, I'm not going to push you. So then after a couple innings, he goes, Dada, can I play pitcher? I go, yes, you can. So he gets out.
He just needed some time to get used to the idea.
To look, and he goes, all right, if they hit it to me, what do I do? I go, well, I go, you're supposed to throw it to first, but I said, if you see that you have a path, pick it up and run to first and step on first base.
The old one unassisted.
No, don't worry about PFPs. Just go up there and take it yourself. First ball back to him, backhands it, knocks it down, picks it up, runs over, and gets the guy at first. My heart exploded in my chest. We were so happy. And he made 5-6 other plays after that.
Now, on balls hit between the first and second baseman, did he do a good job running over covering for the underhand toss?
No.
First baseman?
No. He didn't have any tweeners. They just kept hitting it back to him, and he'd pick it up and throw it to first, and the first baseman would look at it and watch it go by. It was really cute and really sweet. But, man, all the kids, man, and the other team, too, the coach, I didn't catch his name, but he walked up. He goes, hey, man, love your show. I was like, oh, man, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Now prepare to die. Today out here on the T-ball fields, and they were so fun. All the coaches are encouraging of both teams, and it was really sweet and fun. And he really played well, and it was fun to see. And he left there with a lot of confidence. And he said he was really nervous, really nervous for game one. But man, he crushed it. You know, Hannah got some video of him just leaning on balls. It was so fun. So all the kids love to come in. They love to slide into home. And it was a really sweet, fun experience. And it does make you go, all right, man, what's this going to look like in 3 or 4 years, 5 years? Is he still going to want to play? Is he going to be, is he going to be into it? And I think he will be. And if he's not, that's okay too. But it was pretty special, man. It was a special moment.
Well, we've got a lot to get to today. I don't want to cut foreplay short. We pretty much have a full foreplay in already, but obviously the baseball news from, you said opening day is 10 days away. The Padres already dealing with a couple of injuries to some lineup regulars that we have to get into, I think, fairly quickly here. Both of them happening yesterday. If you haven't heard the news, we will get you updated there. World Baseball Classic, we're down to 3 teams left in the tournament. Second semifinal tonight, then the championship tomorrow night. It's over. And, of course, the NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16, San Diego State, just for the third time in program history, is among the final 16. And they're going to go up against number 1 Alabama on Friday. We'll talk about the weekend, the games on Saturday morning against Furman, everything else you watched, how it's going for, I know Woods' bracket's doing all right. Mine not so good. I had Kansas as the titleist. So we will get into the brackets and the NCAA tournament and much more. A tournament of drops continuing today. We've got the Elite 8 results for you at 8 o'clock, and we'll get down to our final 4 of our favorite sound bites and funny clips from over the last year.
Man.
So much to get to. We'll get things started. Let's get into those injuries, though, because I know we got a big Padres audience.
Sucks, dude.
Getting excited for the season. I think there's no reason to panic, but it is a reminder that everything is always a little tenuous when it comes to baseball.
This
so
is how it starts.
Get to that coming up next. I think we got a listener Joe selection, it says here, for our daily ditty.
It's a good one.
That's coming up next. We'll check traffic. Those rainy roadways never look good. Always a tough day for Kelly when that happens. And then we'll be back with more here at Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, like sweet honey. Natalie Merchant. Song's about River Phoenix. Somebody just said in our chat. Steve did. Yeah, this is Natalie Merchant, River. She formerly of 10,000 Maniacs was the her band, but her very successful solo career. And those of you that are listening on the stream, you can't hear it. Sorry. So I typed it in there for you. A beautiful, beautiful song. Women who rock, women who slay. It's National Women's Month. So yeah, there's plenty of those in the music land right now, Ben, that are just killing it.
Yeah, we'll continue that all week long.
We will.
This month theme. I'll be here tomorrow. First vacation doesn't start until Wednesday.
First vacation started midweek last week.
I'm still here. I want to talk basketball. I want to talk Padres. I'm here for it.
Isn't that convenience?
I'm here for it. Don't worry. All guests on Men Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Double dose of bad news for the Padres yesterday.
Indeed.
I don't know which one happened first. We learned obviously about the Austin Nola injury first because we saw it happen in the top of the fourth inning of the spring game against the Cubs when Michael Fulmer, the right-hander for the Cubs, let one get away from him, and it went right up and hit Austin Nola directly in the face.
Yes.
And there's nothing scarier. I mean, it really was my ultimate nightmare when I played baseball as a youth. Just the one thing that you can't control. It happens every once in a while. And Austin Nola took one, as it turned out, right, maybe the bridge of the nose. Bob Melvin said it got him squarely on the nose. He was down on the field for several minutes, trainer trying to staunch the bleeding. And Bob Melvin said, I don't know for sure, but it's got to be broken.
He said, I think his quote was, there we go. Yeah. No, I saw it. I watched it. It was excruciating to watch. He's been having a really nice spring. He is your opening day starting catcher. Bold prediction. I think he'll be in the lineup opening day. Number one, he's a catcher. Number two, the swelling will go down. Many guys have played with a broken nose or a very uncomfortable nose. I think he'll still be in there.
Will he have to wear some sort of like face protection
Probably.
Though? Could that make things a little more awkward? He was having a really terrific spring.
Very nice.
And, is this going to get him out of the groove that he was in? Even if it's not a long-term injury, and you're certainly hoping that it's not, it's far from ideal for either Austin Nola or the Padres to have this happen so close to the start of the season.
No question. There's no question about it. But again, he was up, own power, holding the towel. Like it's super scary. And they all wear now most of the guys, if not all,
the one side is mandatory.
Is it mandatory?
Yeah, you have to wear the face protector now.
Yeah. And so it looked like it clipped it and then kind of exploded into his face. I'm glad that thing's there. I really am. I've seen, we saw Giancarlo Stanton wear one in the jaw. And he was one of the first guys to come back with that extender. And it's pretty nasty when it happens. It's hard, man. Those guys, Fulmer still throws pretty hard, and it's hard to kind of turn your body and your head away. And boy, you'd love that one in the shoulder. You'd love that one.
Anybody at that level, it doesn't matter who it is. It's going to hurt if it hits you square in the nose.
Square in the nose. So I feel like he'll be okay, just because if you've ever broken your nose, it sucks and it's uncomfortable, but it's not like you're going to be out of commission, laid up. Just a matter of if he's, like you said, man, losing any of that mojo he had been building.
I haven't broken a nose, but I've been hit in the nose, and it hurts. Like you instantly start crying. It's like I can't control it. It hurts so much.
It sucks.
It can be like a not that hard of a hit, but if it gets you just square on the nose, it hurts bad.
I want to say my pops has broken his nose like a dozen times.
Oh my God.
A dozen times. So when I was a kid,
did you do some boxing in his youth or something?
Football,
my goodness,
he played every sport, but like football, he goes, my nose was a magnet. You turn it.
Did he play before the face mask era of football?
It's funny. It's funny you say that though. When he used to play, like Paulie's playing rec league basketball now. So when I was a kid, he used to hoop with some of his buddies. and it was before, I'd never seen it before. I'd never seen an NBA player wearing it, but he had that creepy mask.
The clear
mask, but it wasn't clear. It was a nude color. It was a nude colored mask that would guard his face. And I remember seeing him and being like, I was like 10. I was like, dude, no. But he had to. He goes,
hello, Clarice.
He goes, if I break my nose again, I could die. Like bones could shoot.
Well, and
my
that's
brain.
the worry for Austin Nola as well. Doctors could, be concerned about not, just if it happens again, it could be a real problem and may mandate, some healing time before he can put himself out there and risk it again. We'll find out more. Probably today or tomorrow from Bob Melvin, and Sammy. Spring training will certainly get us an update as soon as he hears anything. He'll join us at 9:35 this morning. But there was also a B game yesterday. Padres trying to get some work in. Nick Martinez pitched in that after he left Team USA. Said, hey, if I'm not going to pitch, I need to get back to the Padres and continue to prepare to start at the beginning of the season. But in that game, we find out later in a report from the UT that Juan Soto was removed with they call it a mild oblique strain.
Okay.
Day to day, all the things they're talking about, not too worried about it. However, compared to a broken nose, doesn't seem as bad, but the obliques are always the worries because sometimes those mild ones just linger around and can be problematic injuries that last and last, sometimes for months. Those oblique strains that just never quite figure out how to make them go away. Hopefully that's not the case.
Was it Will Myers that had that like last year or 2 years ago? It sounded like all season long. All we kept hearing about was, he's still dealing with an oblique strain. He's still dealing with an oblique strain.
I mean, think about it. Think about the torque. Think about all of the, the force that goes into a Juan Soto swing. And you could imagine an oblique would really, really get in your way.
Luckily it's his left side. So for a left-handed hitter, his right side would be worse.
I don't know, man.
It would be worse.
That's kind of where you come through and twist. I don't know, playing junior doctor in here this morning. It's not ideal at all, but what you don't want, and I think the majority of, and you could ask any big leaguer that ever played, the majority of these guys get used to playing with the nagging heel, the nagging. If you're playing first base, but your elbow's just kind of nagging all year, like all these guys can play through it with an elite hitter that Juan Soto is. And by the way, has really been looking like again, based on his at-bats in spring training, based on his at-bats at the WBC, we were and are expecting the best from him. So I don't know, man. This is one that kind of concerns me.
So question for you guys. Last season, of course, Manny Machado raced back from his, what we're now finding out is severe ankle injury to come back in 9 days because they needed him on the field. He needed to be on the field. And it was critical for a Padres team that was, looking to take that next step. I wonder, this season, as loaded as the Padres are, does Bob Melvin look at injuries in a different way and say, I think we need to be on the extra cautious side. And if anyone's feeling anything, let's give him a few days. Let's sit guys down. If he needs a week, let's give him 10 days. If he needs 2 weeks, let's give him 3 weeks, because to be frank, we're good enough that we can survive an injury or two. What you can't survive is pushing guys through a bunch of injuries and then having them all break down in September and October when the playoffs come around. You want to keep an eye on getting guys healthy at the end of the season. Does that change the way you manage, the way you put guys in the lineup based on injuries this season?
Let's take a break and let's come back with that, because I want to get what the tier ones have to say too. I have my ideas. I'm sure you guys have your ideas as well. And we can get to that when we come back.
We'll get some first thoughts on the NCAA tournament as well. The Aztecs into the Sweet 16, all ahead with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. signed over the weekend.
If you don't get to some Aztecs talk, Jason Garcia 777
1-year
is going
deal
to lose his mind.
Is he wants to talk Aztecs?
He said
we will
that-
talk. Obviously, we're going to talk some Aztecs.
Well, he said the first segment should have been 100% SDSU basketball. I said, hey, well, listen, we always do foreplay. Then we knock that out and just get loose. And then I said, we like to save the Aztecs for a longer segment, which is this one. He says, not talking about foreplay, talking about spring training injuries versus March Madness week. Ben, step up and take control.
The reason why I did that
Ben,
though was
step up.
I didn't want to get like a 4-minute segment. I wanted to give plenty of time. Then again,
Thank you.
What do you want me to say? They played
Lights out.
exceptionally well on Saturday morning against Furman. Probably their best game of the season, if I'm being honest.
Glass half empty, Paul would say, well, it was pretty close for like 6 minutes.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because
but after that, it was all Aztecs.
I had to jam and go to the fields for T-ball. So I missed the part that I saw in the morning was close. It was like, oh God, here we go. And by all accounts,
Went on a 15-0 run late in the first half, and it was over. I mean,
like Furman didn't score for like 11 minutes.
There was none of that normal ennui, that angst, that existential dread that comes with being an Aztecs fan in the second half, where you think, oh, here they are, they're gonna blow it, or it's coming down. There goes the lead. What is happening? They're falling apart. It never happened. It was the least stressful. I mean, there were plenty of regular season games that were more stressful than their second round NCAA tournament victory over Furman on Saturday morning. They got balanced scoring. Micah Parrish had a great first half. I mean, he's probably the ninth guy out of the 9 that play regularly. And this is what Brian Dutcher has continued to say, and what separates the Aztecs
this week.
It's what separates the Aztecs from most teams in college basketball. Their first guy and their 9th guy, probably Matt Bradley and Micah Parrish, not really separated by that much.
Yep.
It's 9 guys. They're all fairly interchangeable. They all play good defense. You just don't drop off when you go to your bench, and other teams do. And every time that happens, the Aztecs go on a run, and their bench scoring just wallops the other team consistently
and
when they go in.
Outside of Mensa, like they can all play the other 4 positions on the court. Most of those guys,
and Mensa
you can see him fighting for rebounds and then bringing the ball up the court.
And while offensively, Mensa's one-dimensional underneath, although he can pop out and hit a 12-footer if he needs to. Defensively, he's incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
He's one of the few big men in college basketball who, if he had to guard a 6'3" guard, can actually stay in front of them, make things difficult. So there's no one you can't guard on the other team. I mean, the only time the Aztecs ever get in trouble defensively is when somehow they switch and Darion Trammell ends up on like a 6'8" guy, and then you better, scramble and someone better help him out just because he's a little shorter. Other than that, they've been playing incredible defense, and then the offense was added to it on Saturday morning. So here they are in the Sweet 16 for the 3rd time in program history. And yes, they beat 2 double-digit seeds to get there. In fact, if you look at the combined total of the 2 seeds that were beaten in the first 2 rounds of the 16 teams, the Aztecs had, quote unquote, the easiest road to the Sweet 16. Even the team that beat Fairleigh Dickinson, Florida Atlantic, they beat a 16 seed and an 8 seed. Those add up to 24. The Aztecs 2 seeds that they beat added up to 25. So take it a little bit with a grain of salt. They're going to go up against a number 1 seed in Alabama. If you missed it, that game announced going to tip off at 3:30 on Friday at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. The first game of the South Regional Semifinals doubleheader, followed by Princeton against Creighton, which is interesting as well because the Aztecs are now the 2nd best seed remaining in the entire South region. Yes, they're 7-point underdogs, I think, against Alabama. But if they found a way to win that game, no matter who won the other game, the Aztecs would be the better seed, would be wearing the home uniforms, and would likely be favored to reach the Final Four. If they can pull off now just one upset is all they need to reach the Final Four. How can you find a better situation for a team like San Diego State? You don't have to win 4 giant upsets to get to the Final Four. We're talking about One, yes, it would be a massive upset, but we've already seen much bigger upsets in this NCAA tournament. You've got one upset, and you've got a path to the Final Four for San Diego State basketball. This is it. This is the greatest opportunity this program has ever been presented.
Well, and I think it answers a lot of questions by going out and handling business against Furman. It's one thing to go out, Ben, and beat Furman by 1 or 2, because it's your classic, like, oh God, we were lucky enough that they had a huge upset, and that's who you faced. Okay, so the fact that you didn't go in there and crap your pants and say, oh God, this is a classic trap game for SDSU. The fact that you played your best game when it mattered the most against a team you're far superior to, that's got to give these kids a lot of confidence. And I wonder how they're feeling today, as far as, I wonder if they were ready to get back on the court the next day. Something tells me that they were. Now, they've got a very, very formidable opponent in Alabama. Those guys are nasty. But I am seeing national pundits across the country saying they're going to give Alabama fits. They're going to give Alabama fits. Defensively, they can play with them. They can. Offensively, you're going to have to find a way to score on that team.
I can make a case, a good one, for San Diego State. You want to hear my case?
Yes, always.
For the Aztecs. All right, we'll get to that. First, this hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, home of the world-famous Bob-O-Pedic mattresses, with all the comfort and quality of a national mattress brand for half the price. No matter your budget, there's a Bob-O-Pedic memory foam hybrid or hybrid plus mattress for you. Check them out at mybobs.com. I'll give you my case, and you tell me if you believe it, for San Diego State over Alabama after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Get a little busier on our slick roadways. Got this crash in the North County southbound side of the 15. This is right before Deer Springs Road. A vehicle in the center divide and a vehicle blocking the fast lane. Further down near Felicita, got another crash. Looks like a couple vehicles involved in this one. It's over to the right shoulder. Northbound side of the 805 past Homa Avenue. There is a collision involving a couple vehicles. Looks like that. It's got the fast lane blocked. Crash involving a car and a motorcycle northbound side of the 5, right before Civic Center. They're in the center divide. They did clear that crash on westbound King Freeway at the northbound 5 connector ramp. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so my first argument for San Diego State against Alabama is the old nothing to lose. San Diego State could lose by 40, and their season is already an unqualified success. They got into the Sweet 16. I know Brian Dutcher and those players will be disappointed if they don't play well, and even if they don't win. I think they're expecting to go in there and move on. But even if they don't, I think in the back of your mind, you know what, you're coming home as champions. You're coming home to a hero's welcome. It was a great season for San Diego State basketball. Takes a little bit of the pressure off. That can be both a good or a bad thing. But Alabama is not in that same situation. They're a #1 seed. The expectations are very high. They come from it's Alabama. They're used to winning in football. The basketball team really would love to join that parade of champions that they've established in that conference. Losing in the Sweet 16 is kind of disastrous for Alabama. So pressure on the Crimson Tide in this game. Alabama won their first 2 games pretty handily. Compared to some of the other #1 seeds like Purdue and Kansas, who are out, Alabama cruised past Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Maryland in their first 2 games. Games that were played, I believe, in Birmingham, Alabama. Very close, very, home crowd behind them, very easy circumstances, no travel, basically a short bus ride to get to those games. Not that Louisville's far away, but this will be different for them. Now they have to get on a plane, do the real NCAA tournament thing for the first time. The Aztecs, they've already gone across the country, won 2 games on the road, basically on the road, as far as you can get. This will feel very familiar to San Diego State. They're much more, I would say, comfortable in the NCAA situation than perhaps Alabama is going into the regional semifinals and finals in Louisville, Kentucky. I think that's another advantage for San Diego State. Finally, Alabama did not have to play a close game in the NCAA tournament. I promise you, they're not going to win every game by 15 or 20 on their way to a championship. They're going to have an off game. They're going to have to win a close game somewhere. If it happens to be on Friday against San Diego State, who do you think is the team that feels a lot more comfortable and experienced pulling out close games? San Diego State, which has had to do it over and over and over again, including in the first round of the NCAA tournament, feeling that pressure? Or is it Alabama, who maybe when pressed for the first time, if this is close, if they're down 2 or 3, with 5 minutes to go, how do they respond to that? That's going to be a new feeling for this team, whereas San Diego State, a little more comfortable in that situation. So, yeah, there are a lot of ways that Alabama could just end up running over the Aztecs, or the shots don't fall for San Diego State like they did against Furman. They're going to have another good shooting performance, like they did. However, I think there's a lot of reasons to think that the Aztecs could actually pull off this upset on Friday and beat Alabama in this game.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, if you don't think that that's possible, you have not been watching this tournament. It seems every day that every day it has happened. Some team that was supposed to absolutely truck the other team is losing. They're losing every single day. You've lost your winner. They're out. Arizona is out. There's teams getting ousted every single day. So I think if you're the Aztecs, you're thinking, why not us? Why not us go in and take it to these guys from Alabama? And they can absolutely win that game. And that's all they keep talking about on the broadcast. San Diego State, they're men. They're big, imposing men, and they can play with anybody. So it's gonna be a blast to watch.
And now keep in mind, if they win that game on Friday, I already mentioned they get the winner of Creighton Princeton in the regional final for a trip to the Final Four. Creighton, a little revenge. The team they had by 9 in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year would be looking for a win there, or the Cinderella of Princeton. And if they do happen to get to the Final Four, I believe they face the East champion. No 1 or 2 seeds left in that bracket either. I mean, the toughest team might be Tennessee or Kansas State that you could face in a Final Four and a national semifinal.
You cannot look ahead.
I can look ahead. They can't look ahead. I can look ahead and say, I can say that the path to the national championship game is, if you get past Alabama, Alabama is the team that is probably the toughest one right now. But if you found a way to win that game, there's a real thought that San Diego State could be playing for a national title, but 2 weeks from today, I believe, a Monday.
If you beat Alabama, all bets are off.
Yeah.
I mean, that you just took down the number 1 overall seed in the tournament.
And you're not facing a gauntlet of another, couple of huge games. Now, every team's good at this point, and you got to keep playing well. And then, national championship, I don't know who emerges from the other side, whether it's a Houston or UCLA or Gonzaga or UConn. I mean, there's, a lot of good teams there, but guess what? If I'm San Diego State, happy to take my chances in the national championship game against whoever they want to throw against you. What a remarkable opportunity this is for Brian Dutcher's program. A chance to do something even Steve Fisher, who we had on the show last Thursday, was never able to do in his time at San Diego State. Elite 8 and beyond, and it's right there for the Aztecs.
Right there for the taking, buddy. Right there for the taking. All right. Everybody happy now?
There's my San Diego State chat for you. Although that Fairleigh Dickinson story was, absolutely nuts. The upset of Purdue nearly made it into the Sweet 16. They had a second half lead over Florida Atlantic, 16 over a 1. A team that, quite frankly, you're going through some of those losses that they had this year. Losing to programs you've never even heard of. Yeah. This wasn't a particularly even great mid-major team. To pull off the upset that they did, and just the embarrassing performance by Purdue. They've got this 7'4" guy. You watched the end, right?
Yes.
Zach Edey, the probably player of the year in college basketball. There's only one way the shortest team in college basketball can face that guy. You double team him, you front him, you back him. And it's like Purdue was totally caught. What do we do? They've got 2 guys on our big guy. I guess we'll just shoot threes and hope we make it. Well, that's exactly what Fairleigh Dickinson was hoping they would do. And they didn't make them. And all of a sudden, they had a game on their hands. It was one of the most stunning results probably in college basketball history. This wasn't just a 16 over a 1. This was not a great 16 over a team that shouldn't have had any trouble with them whatsoever.
It was cool. We see every few months, right? A sport, a league comes to an end with a championship, and you get to see the celebration. Whether it's the World Cup, the World Series, the NBA Finals, the Super Bowl, we love watching the end, right? The celebration. And I was screaming to my wife. She's in the other room, get out here, come watch this, because it is rare Like, this isn't the national championship game, but it is rare that you get to see somebody or a group of 12 kids. They're about to experience the greatest moment of their entire lives. And
doubt.
and to sit there and watch it play out on TV, seeing the coach and all of that, it was special, man. And you're like, yeah, their run could very well end in 48 hours. But this will be the highlight of their life, beating the number 1 overall seed. It's only happened one other time. It was so much fun to watch.
Thank you for texting me, Ben, to tune in because I was watching WBC baseball and you said TNT now. And I just flipped it over and I went, oh my God, it was so incredible. Bo, my son, my 5-year-old, had that pick as well.
He did.
Yes.
He had all the
He
16 seeds.
Had
and
all the 16
ended
seeds.
up getting one of them
one
right.
of those, yes.
Outside of the San Diego State game, the other Sweet 16 game, probably looking forward to most is UCLA Gonzaga. Remember 2 years ago, they played an absolute overtime epic, 93-90 game in the NCAA tournament that Gonzaga won in Indianapolis. So kind of a rematch, and 2 West Coast teams that'll collide next week in Las Vegas. They're playing in Las Vegas, I think, for the first time in a regional final, semifinals, and finals. So that one I'm looking forward to as well coming up this week.
What does San Diego State got to do to get a Sweet 16 game in Vegas?
That would be fun. We could all go to Vegas to watch San Diego State basketball. Yeah, Louisville's a little bit more of a. I mean, I wonder.
So the four host cities are
sure some
New
Aztecs
York
fans
and
are
Las
making-
Vegas, Madison Square Garden and Vegas, and then Kansas and Louisville.
I'm sure some Aztecs fans are making plans to head out to Louisville, though. You
They're
don't get
good.
too many opportunities to watch your team in a Sweet 16.
Good crowd in Orlando this
Yeah, they did.
weekend. So
They did. Aztecs
travel.
always have good support wherever they go, and I would imagine. I mean, sure, Alabama will have probably more. They're a little closer, but it'll probably be fairly balanced. San
Mhm.
Diego State will represent well in that game on Friday. It's the early game, the first game at 3:30, which is a little rough. I mean, plan to get off a little bit early to watch, but it's also a chance to own that, just like they did on Saturday where they had the national spotlight to themselves in that first game. For the first 30, 45 minutes, they'll be the only game on, and everyone who, especially on the East Coast where it's at 6:30, they'll all be watching San Diego State basketball again. Great for recruiting. Brian Dutcher should be taking advantage of this big time. All right, we'll come back. We've got some Take on Woods ahead. We'll tell you about the Ben & Woods Open. Big week for our golf tournament. We'll give you that news as well. All ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 2021. Here's your second chance because Ben & Woods Open number 2 is taking place on Thursday, April 6th at Rancho Bernardo Inn, and slots in the tournament will go on sale this Wednesday, March 22nd. 2 days from now, you'll have your opportunity to reserve your slot, your foursome, your twosome, whatever you want, in the Ben & Woods Open at RB Inn on April 6th.
I'm still waiting on the higher-ups to let me know exactly what time they're going to go on sale. When we know it, we will blast it. We will blast it on Twitter and Instagram and the radio and all other methods, and I'm sure I'm still going to get DMs about it. As soon as we know what time it's going to go on, I will let you guys know. We will let you know. And I can't wait. I can't wait. It's sold out.
It would be
so
nice not to
fast.
make it like midnight, so people.
I don't think it's going to be midnight.
Hopefully it'll be sometime like in a reasonable hour, maybe during our show.
Yeah, I would imagine
right at the end of our show or something like that.
I would imagine it would happen during our show, like at 9 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
I know for the first tournament it was like 6 a.m.
Was it 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it went nuts. Sold out in 5 minutes. So, look, that's good for us. It's not good if you don't get in. We would obviously love to be able to do a tournament where everybody that wanted to play could play. But just be ready, man. Be ready. Have your foursome ready. Have your credit card ready. And we'll let you know when we know.
Now, I had somebody talk to me yesterday. They said, hey, I would love to play, but I don't have a group. Can a solo? They'll pair up random solos together, right?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah,
100%.
you can sign up any number you want.
You don't have to have a group of 4.
A full foursome.
No. I mean, you can have a twosome. You can have a onesome. You can
2 and 2 makes a lot of sense. If you got one buddy to play with, they'll put you
A
with someone
threesome
else,
would be fun.
a threesome
yeah.
also.
And
would be
then
fun.
we'll pair you up with someone who just played as a single, who didn't have anyone that was able to join them that day. We'll figure it out. Someone will figure it out because we were legendary here at Odyssey for figuring things out, how
Correct.
they work, right? By the way, thank you to our sponsors, including Coastal Fire and Integration Systems and Maestro Dobel Tequila for making the Ben & Woods Open possible on April the 6th.
Can't wait for that, man. It's such a fun day. It's going to be a long day, but I'm very excited. We'll have an opportunity for you guys to reserve a room at RBI as well on a discount. If you want to stay the night before, going to be, I think there's a, Paulie, check the schedule. Is there a Padres game on April 5th?
No.
There's not.
Not on Wednesday? April 5th. Yes, there is. No, there's not.
It is a Monday, Tuesday series, wrapping up the homestand against the Diamondbacks off Wednesday, and then they travel to Hotlanta.
Oh, yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Atlanta, their
So-
first road game is that day, April 6th.
So I'm staying both nights. So we can have a few cocktails the night before, and then we can actually watch them, like play the tournament, watch some of the Masters together, grab some food, have some drinks, watch the Padres down at the bar at RBI as well.
That's the day that Joe Musgrove was hoping to get back and make his first start of the season.
Ooh.
I don't know that, listening to Bob Melvin and what they're coming out of the Padres camp, that they're necessarily counting on that. They don't want to rush Joe back, and possibly risk further injury because his toe is still hurting and that changes the mechanics and whatnot. But I know his hope would be at the end of that first homestand to be ready to go for the first road game against the Atlanta Braves on Thursday, April the 6th.
Yep, I look forward to that. But you asked the question
Yeah, like I was saying
earlier about, this is a different San Diego Padres team. This is a different lineup that's going to be constructed. Now, you do have to factor in that you're not going to have Fernando Tatis Jr. for at least 3 weeks to start the season. So by all accounts, he's feeling pretty good, healthy, hit another bomb or a bomb this weekend, and is looking great. So you're not going to get him in your lineup opening day. Now you have the injury to Austin Nola, which is a blow, certainly. He's a catcher. He's tough as nails. I expect him to be in there. He's got 10 days or so to get ready. It's a broken nose. I think he'll be okay.
Luis Campusano homered over the weekend,
Yep.
though, and, showing some signs of being a contributor as well in case Austin Nola does have to miss some time. You do have Luis Campusano that you can slot in there.
Yeah, and again, this is me knowing nothing about the extent of Austin's injury. We'll definitely know more today, I would assume, with Sammy Spring Training. The Juan Soto one is a bit dicey. That's kind of the one where, I looked it up. How long does it take for an oblique strain to heal? And it said, 3 to 4 days sometimes, or could be as long as 3 to 4 months, depending on the severity of the strain. And I think if it's mild, the only thing you can do to make it worse is to continue to think oh, I can gut it out and I can play on it. And Ben asked the question earlier, do you give him a little extra rest? Do you need Juan Soto in your lineup opening day to go out and beat the Colorado Rockies? The answer is probably not. Do you want him in 10 days? I would love if they said, hey, man, take the rest of spring training off, get treatment.
We're all on board for that, right? We've seen enough. He's locked in.
He's locked.
He's good to go.
Yeah, he's going to be fine.
He can do off-field work, whatever they allow him to do.
Yep.
But if they told us today, hey,
we're shutting
next time you see Juan Soto, it's going to be opening day. Fine by me.
Yeah.
But my point
I prefer it, actually.
Yeah.
Before I make my point, let me throw out the phone number.
Probably throw out a few guys. Just, I've seen enough.
You're good.
I'm good.
You made the team, Manny.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods here. We're about 3 minutes away. 833-288-0973. First chance this week to qualify for the getaway to Las Vegas, the concert tickets, and Battle Woods in our musical trivia challenge. 833-288-0973. Dial us up right now. But my point earlier about, making sure that everyone's rested, take Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis Jr. If they don't start the season for whatever reason, obviously Tatis won't. If Soto needed to miss a week, 2 weeks, you know what that makes the 2023 Padres? The 2022 Padres. They didn't have Juan Soto or Fernando Tatis Jr. Before the trade deadline for the first 4 months of the season. Neither of those guys were on the team. It was still a really, really good baseball team. Plus, you've added Nelson Cruz. You've added Matt Carpenter. You've got guys who, look at Trent Grisham, Austin Nola, who seem to be having strong springs that may have, better seasons in them. I would contend that this is already a better team. Even if you didn't have Soto and Tatis in the lineup for a period of time, you're still better off than you were at the start of last season. That's how good and deep this team is right now. That you can survive the loss of a superstar or two for a few weeks. How many teams in baseball can say we can survive the loss of two superstars for a month? Not many. The Padres are actually one of them that, it's less than ideal and you want to keep those guys on the field and as healthy as possible. It doesn't wreck your season to lose a guy. I think the Phillies will be okay without Bryce Harper for the first couple of months.
To be looking pretty good.
They are deep enough that they will be okay without Bryce Harper for a couple of months, and then they inject him back into the lineup, and they're going to have very high expectations again as well this year. There's not many teams, but the Padres are one of them that I think has that chance that you don't have to rush your stars back into the lineup, because I don't see an 8-game losing streak. I don't see losing 12 out of 14 with this team at any point in the year. Yeah, they will go into slumps.
Yes,
they will have that week where they lose 5 out of 7. Every team does. But the extended, half month, the 2-week slumps, the bad month where you were 7 games under 500, I just don't see that happening with the San Diego Padres, barring some, very unusual and exceptional circumstances. And that's what makes this Padres team, that's what makes a team with a higher payroll different than a team with a lot of talent, but is only spending $150 million on their roster. They can't afford to lose 3 or 4 guys, or it will be devastating. I think the Padres are going to be okay.
As do I. And again, this is not something where it sounds like Soto's going to miss a ton of time at all.
No.
It just sounds like, hey man, got a little thing. We're being cautious with it. And that's exactly what you want. We're going to blow it out of proportion because that's what we do. And I think last night, AC dropping that article at like 8, 9 o'clock was like, oh no, what are we doing here?
It was like one of the last things I saw before I shut it down and fell asleep. And I go, did I miss something earlier? Where the hell did this come from? And then I saw that he wasn't even in. I was like, he didn't play today.
Yeah. B games can be, a little bit under the radar. And that's why we've got Sammy Spring Training out there to give us the inside scoop when we talked to him this morning at 9:35. All right, got a contestant on the line. It's 7:09. Let's get to it. And cheat like he used to. He actually has to leave the studio and make this a fair game. He always did. People always thinking, no way he's leaving. Yes, he always leaves.
Can't be that good.
He cannot hear anything that's going on now. We got Mike on the line. Hello, Mike. Good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
All right, you're our contestant today with a chance to qualify for our grand prize drawing. It is a trip to Las Vegas to see 38 Special live in concert April 28th at the International Theater at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Beat or tie Woods. You'll qualify for the trip, including 2 tickets to the show and a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas. Your advantage is picking the category. Here are your choices this morning. Teeny Boppers, 5 song titles that include the word teen. Our mystery category, it's the title of the mystery, the 2-second song, gives you a big hint as to the rest of the category. And then our new category, Angels Among Us, 5 answers that include the word angel. So of those 3, Mike, Teeny Boppers, the mystery category, or Angels Among Us, what would you like to play?
I'm going to go for Teeny Boppers.
Teeny Boppers. Okay. Today we are looking for 5 song titles that all include the word teen. You'll have 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time remaining on the clock. We'll start with our 2-second song. Polly, going to play you a clip of a well-known hit. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that one, and then we'll go on from there. And then Woods will come back. He won't get the category, get the same questions. We'll compare scores, and in the end, figure out whether you've qualified. Mike, you ready to play?
I'm ready to play.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. The category is Teeny Boppers. Your time begins when Paul plays our music. Good luck, Mike. Let's take on Woods.
Steely Dan, pass.
A turning point for grunge music came when Nirvana released which lead single from their second album, Nevermind?
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Correct. Katy Perry takes us back to her high school days with which 2010 hit that includes the line, "Don't ever look back, don't ever look back."
Pass.
Just Like the White-Winged Dove is the first line of which Stevie Nicks solo hit?
Oh, Teen Lover.
Incorrect. The band Wheatus is primarily known for which 2000 song about juvenile delinquency?
Oh, boy. Pass.
All right, let's go back to the 2-second song. You got the band.
Teen Vision.
I like the guesses that they're not really working for you very much here. You did get Smells Like Teen Spirit, but that's the only one I think you
when
got.
he knew Steely Dan,
I thought you
the
get it.
second one. I was like, he'll do okay.
Hey 19, Mike, by Steely Dan is the song.
Because Woods ain't getting Katy Perry.
You got Smells Like Teen Spirit. Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. Edge of 17 is Stevie Nicks, just like the White-Winged Dove. And Wheatus is Teenage Dirtbag. I'm just a teenage dirtbag. All right, let's bring Woods back in. I don't know that it's going to.
It's not how it goes.
Something like that. All right, I don't think that's going to be enough. But Mike, hang on. Crazier things have happened. Who knows? Maybe Woods will forfeit because he's on his phone and will never realize that it's time to come back in and play the game. Paul just threw his shoe at Woods.
No, it was my headphone case.
Okay, something. I looked like he threw his shoe. All right, so Mike's score is locked in.
Okay.
Woods doesn't get the category. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Mike.
Let's get it. I know it's Steely Dan, pass.
A turning point for grunge music came when Nirvana released which lead single from their second album, Nevermind?
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Correct. Katy Perry takes us back to her high school days with which 2010 hit that includes the line, "Don't ever look back, don't ever look back."
Fireworks.
Incorrect. Just Like the White-Winged Dove is the first line of which Stevie Nicks solo hit.
This song says I'm singing, ooh, baby, ooh. Just like the wild wind, sounds like she's singing. What the hell?
Using some time
Edge
here.
of 17.
Correct. The band Wheatus is primarily known for which 2000 song about juvenile delinquency?
Crap, I love that song. Oh, the Edge, let's see. Teenage Dirtbag.
Correct. So go back to our 2-second song.
It's Steely Dan. That's all I know. I don't know the category.
I thought you had it.
I thought you did too. You got Smells Like Teen Spirit, Edge of 17, and Teenage Dirtbag.
Okay, so teen.
So Steely Dan has to be Hey,
19.
19. You did win though 3-1 over Mike today in our
Good deal. Good
category Teeny Boppers.
Teeny
and the one you didn't
Boppers.
get was Teenage
deal.
Dream
Teenage. I like that song.
by
actually.
Katy Perry. But a win for Woods to start the week.
That was
And
a
our-
dub.
Thank
It
you
was
for
a dub.
playing, Mike. But try again to qualify for our grand prize drawing as Woods gets the victory today. All right, we've got Don't Do This coming up next, and Do This as well. Do you have anything in particular that you're going for?
Well, I mean, it's kind of visual, but sometimes a coach likes to make things about himself after a huge win. And I think we should put Eric Musselman on blast.
All
on
right.
Don't
And
Do This.
for Do This, I got a couple of things off the field that the Padres are doing. Pretty incredible. So we'll get to that coming up after a check of traffic. More Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Paul here. I want to talk to you about your San Diego Sockers. The march to the playoffs is on, and the Sockers are continuing their pursuit of a Ron Newman Cup three-peat. The team went 2-0 this weekend against Monterey and the Empire Strikers. The first place Sockers are 18-2 on the season. And get this, with last night's 7-3 victory, the Sockers clinched the MASL Supporter Shield for the best record in the league. Up next, they got 3 of their final 4 regular season matches all right here at home at Pechanga Arena as the Sockers march toward the playoffs. So Friday night, it is Military Appreciation Night as the Sockers host the Empire Strikers once again. Best rivalry in the league. It's a 7:35 p.m. kickoff at Pechanga Arena. The first 1,500 fans in attendance will receive a military-themed Sockers scarf, courtesy of Kaiser Permanente San Diego, and the club will be decked out in blue camouflage kits auctioned off for charity. So come see the best rivalry in the entire league. Friday night, 7:35 p.m. kickoff, Pechanga Arena, Sockers, Strikers. Do not miss a match as the Sockers look to clinch home field throughout the playoffs. Now is the perfect time to bring your friends or family to Pechanga Arena and enjoy the march to the playoffs with the San Diego Sockers. Get your tickets for every match by calling 866-799-GOAL or go to sdsockers.com.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot, you moron.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't forget, you can listen to the Odyssey app and catch 97.3 The Fan and thousands of other stations, all for free. Got a ton of podcasts for you as well. You just have to download the free app. And now it's time for Don't Do This. A couple of stories that make you shake your head. And I do this as well. But I saw this and I was stunned. Well, we might have to talk to Braden when he comes in. I don't know if he was broadcasting this game, but USD Baseball.
Wow, dude.
On Saturday night, they were hosting a Pacific in a WCC series at Fowler Park over the weekend.
I watched the clip that's going around on
Yeah.
Twitter. I watched it like 40
So
times.
they went into the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th inning, down 8-6, and scored 10 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. But wait, they never got the ball out of the infield, and they did it, and there was only one hit on a bunt single. 10 runs on one bunt single. How is that even possible? Well, as you can imagine, it requires just a staggering amount of don't do this level of defense
Yes.
by the Pacific Tigers. But here's how the 10 runs came in. Hit batsman, walk, error on the third baseman, scored a run. Error on the first baseman on another dribbler in front of the plate, bunt, scored a run. RBI infield bunt single, scored another run. Hit batsman, bases loaded walk, scored another run. RBI sacrifice, scored a run. 2 RBI fielder's choice, scored 2 more. Did you see how that one happened? Now they try to get the run at the plate and then try to get someone else, and another guy scored, and just
They small balled them to death.
yeah. And then
because-
wild pitch run,
Yep.
wild pitch run, RBI ground out for the second out, then scored the 10th run, and that was it for the inning. 10 runs, 1 hit, no balls out of the infield other than the ones that were thrown over the first baseman's head into the stands a couple of times.
It's one of those games where like it was in the 8th inning, you said?
It was the 8th inning. They were down
So-
8-6. Yeah.
So it's not like the head coach said, "Hey, I think we can exploit something in their defense. They're really bad at PFPs." It was just one of those innings that if you've ever played, it just gets away from you and you can't get an out. Every throw you make, the throw from the third baseman, bunted right to him, picks it up nicely.
And 3
and just
straight bunts. None of them were outs. They
just
all scored runs.
he airmails it, and you're like, "Oh God!" And then the wheels just come off. The pitcher can't find the zone. He throws wild pitches, and any strike you did throw, they bunted it, and they bunted it in the perfect spot. They small balled them to death for 10 runs. That is just one of those innings. If you're the opposing coach, you're like, "Hey, guess what? Forget it ever happened. Let's
And-
work on it." But I don't.
And to the credit of the Tigers, they did come back and win yesterday
Yeah.
to avoid the sweep, so they didn't let it linger too much. Yeah, USD did take 2 out of 3 in the WCC opening series at Fowler Park, but 10 runs on 1 hit. I saw that tweet from athletic director in Tier 1, Bill McGillis.
Yes.
And I go, hold on, I need to see how this happens. Never got out of the infield, 1 hit, and
Yep.
you score 10 runs in an
It
inning.
was just
This is like Bo's T-ball game.
Yeah, you're in the torture chamber if you're on the other team. So your thoughts, Ben, on Arkansas head coach Eric Musselman? We've had him on the show, yeah?
Yeah, we have.
We have.
I generally like him. He does some cringy things, and it's not always great, but his enthusiasm and energy is pretty infectious.
Infectious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't be infection.
He wouldn't be
It would be infectious.
contagious.
Him ripping his shirt off after huge wins. Now it's a thing. He's done it
It's a
before.
bit.
So now he's locked in, right?
Oh,
Like
from now on,
that's your thing.
Yeah.
If you
Now
win.
he's going to do it, for their 4th win of the season in November.
Right. But for the big win,
For the big games.
yeah. So there was a lot going around on social media, like, "Hey, man, your kids, like, great coach, obviously, and a huge upset. Arkansas beating Kansas, but the videos of him up on the table with his shirt off, waving it around. They're like, "Hey, bro, maybe you make this one about the kids that went out and played their asses off tonight, and keep your shirt on." You didn't win the title, right? I mean, it's a
Now-
huge upset. It's huge, big. Nobody's denying you that.
Conversely, What if the kids love it?
They
What if
might.
his play?
And they
What if
might.
it jacks them up?
they very
They're just
well
they
might.
fuels them, gets them going,
If their whole goal,
and
maybe,
they're like, "Come
all
on, do it, do it,
I,
do it!"
I could be convinced that they say,
Like you see the videos all the
Let's-
time when the team is in the locker room,
Yeah.
and the coach is always the last one in, and
Yeah.
they're waiting,
And
and then they go nuts
go
with the
nuts
water
on 'em.
bottles and everything.
you can convince me that they say to each other, let's play so well that he has to take his shirt off tonight.
If his shirt
If
is
that's-
still on at the end of the night,
We didn't do our
we
job.
have failed as a
we felt-
team.
And he may have just convinced me. Maybe it's a do this for Eric Musselman today.
I mean, anything that brings non-negative attention to your program is probably a decent thing. I mean, you're trying to cut through the noise of 64, 68 teams in the tournament. Eric Musselman does that. USD, got the San Diego ties, so I always that always makes me inclined to like someone a little bit. So yeah, don't do this. You can make the argument for both. All right, finally, this is definitely a do this.
D mega do.
I mean, let's be honest. The Padres are killing it. They've got a waiting list for season tickets. They are one of the most talked about, exciting franchises in baseball right now, getting ready for a season in which it's World Series dreams, but doesn't mean they've stopped doing all those things off the field that are special as well. And this one was amazing. They had children who were receiving cancer treatment from Rady Children's Hospital.
This was amazing.
All go on a trip. They left this last Friday to spring training in Peoria. They all signed contracts, 12 cancer patients with the team, 3-day contracts for the weekend to experience up close Padres staff, coaches, and players behind the scenes, like a fantasy camp for these kids who are getting, cancer treatments at Rady Children's. Just an amazing thing. Eric Grupler, the CEO, did a big send off on Friday, and then
The signing,
some of the video this weekend was just amazing.
the signing them to the contract, man, was just just makes you think. I'm so lucky my kids are healthy, and but it is such a nice. It's so nice to know, Ben, that Rady's exists here in our fair city.
It is. My kids have both been there. Sometimes extended have needed that growing up as well, and it's such a great resource and service that they provide for the community and families.
Yeah, and they also did the Pedal the Cause
Yeah.
this weekend out there as
which
well.
is great. I mean, they've raised millions on these bike rides for cancer survivors, and just it's a great thing that they continue to do. More than 2.3 million was raised this year, which continues to move up and up. I know this is a big thing for Peter Seidler as well, that he wants to get behind every single year. So for the bike riders out there, great charitable activity that the Padres do every single year. So kind of a double do this for the Padres over the weekend. And that's don't and do this for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, speaking of the Padres, we saw the Four Horsemen lineup. What are we calling it? The Mount Rushmore lineup.
Ooh, I like that too.
The
I've been rolling with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
the lineup of death. I mean, you can go a lot of different
That's
ways with
very
it,
severe.
but will death for
Hear me
the,
out, hear
the
me out.
opposition.
Murderer's Row.
Murderers Row.
Paulie, that's never been done
Come
in
on.
baseball.
It's been like 90
on.
years. What
Has it been done?
everything comes new
Wow.
over again.
Murderers Row.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Is it almost 100 years? When was Murderers Row?
1927.
Yeah,
27?
we're almost at the
Almost the
100-year
100-year
anniversary.
mark.
What's the official rule on when things enter the
Oh,
funny
yeah,
Public
realm?
domain.
free
Yeah,
zone.
90,
It's like
is it
90
99
years.
or something. 90 years. Yeah.
Find out.
We might
You
be,
can
we might be
t-shirts with
okay.
Murderers Row on it. Now, I don't know that necessarily murdering is a good thing anymore, so maybe we want to stay away from that. But
yeah, if we want to be, sensitive.
we got to see it on Saturday, and it looked pretty good. It looked pretty good.
Pretty
We'll
sexy
talk
to
about that
me.
coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Aztecs. It's literally impossible.
You know, there's a chance we could all be gathered back here 1 week from now talking about the Aztecs in the Final Four.
Very, very good possibility.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities. And not like, you know, those like 1 in a million miracle. I mean, I like a legitimate, you know, underdog, but a legitimate opportunity. Like no one's going to say, oh, that was the craziest thing that ever happened in college basketball history.
Right.
They wouldn't. They'd say, oh, wow, San Diego State playing really well. And guess what? They knocked off another 1 seed, the third one to go down. And then they won as a favorite in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. That I mean, we could be talking about that in 1 week.
I mean, 4 out of 16 teams will be there
Yep.
in the Final Four.
So
We're one of them.
25% chance. I mean, you're taking on a 1 seed, probably a little less than that, but we're not. What are we talking? 15, 20% chance at this point? That's huge. I mean, do the Padres have a better than 20% chance of winning the World Series right now?
Yes.
You think so? Really?
Yeah.
Better than 20%?
I mean, I would hope so.
I'm curious what the highest
Percentage
chance for teams.
20%. That's 1 in 5.
That's
I would say
I mean,
odds-wise,
yeah. All right. I'll change it. I'll amend it to reaching the World Series.
reaching
Winning
the
the
World
pennant.
Series.
Winning
All
a
right.
pennant. Yeah, I'd say this is.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, I think the odds makers have it a little probably lower than that, but who, you know, they're one of the best 5 teams in the NL.
yes, I agree
for
with
sure.
that. But
So
okay,
that would,
so let's say they're one of the best. Let's say we're one of the best 3 teams. Let's say there were only 3 teams in the National League.
3 total.
There's 3 teams.
So everybody's
And
got
they're
a
all
33%.
they're all good.
chance.
So everyone's got a 33% chance of reaching the World Series. And then you get to the World Series and you're matched up against a pretty even team. That means you got a 50% chance of winning that series. So half of a 33% chance is really a 16.5% chance of winning the World Series. That's if there's only 3 teams in the
That's
National
true.
League. You've got a 16% chance of winning the World Series. So 20% is actually a fairly high number. I think
It's a
the
ve-
actual
it's a-
number is
it's a
probably a
very
little
high
lower.
number.
It's probably a little lower.
To make the World Series, to win a pennant.
To win the World Series, though, which was my original question.
Okay. Yeah. I genuinely,
Well,
it's less than that.
because when
It's
you
less than
factor in like
20%.
teams like the Pirates, like what is it, like 1%,
Yeah.
2% at the
Mhm.
most. So 15 to 20%. I can see how that makes sense in my head.
I mean, if the way I play it in my head to win a pennant, at least.
Yeah.
Are the San Diego Padres one of the best 5 teams on paper? Yes.
They are.
Unequivocally, yes.
All right. So that means if they each had a 20% chance, but like Paul said, you do have to account for the other 10 teams and their small, tiny chances of making it, that lowers you from around 20 just to get to the World Series from there. And then you got to face a good team when you get there. I think, we're talking really more like 12 to 15 is an honest assessment of what a really good team's chances of winning the World Series are at the start of the year. Now,
if you gave the top 5 teams a 15% chance, that's 75%, right?
that's
I did my math.
75% worth
So
of the chances.
then the
Yeah.
other 25 teams
have
make up for the other
Quarter
25%.
of the chance. Yeah.
I'm not smart. You can talk me
I
into
know,
that.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I
But
don't know why that we're in here.
Why are we doing
math
percentages?
Well, I'm just saying, San Diego State's
My
already,
head
they've gotten
hurts.
through the season. They made it to the tournament. They've won 2 games in the tournament. They're just 2 wins away from a Final Four. I think the odds are probably almost higher at this point that San Diego State gets to the Final Four than the Padres actually win the World Series. Now, San Diego State winning the tournament versus the Padres winning the World Series, maybe a little more even at this point. There's still 16 teams left. There's a lot of still good teams remaining. So maybe I give the Padres the edge there. I was just making the comparison between where San Diego State is. Pretty cool what they've gotten to and what opportunity they have ahead of them.
No doubt about it.
Now they don't have, they don't necessarily have the big 4 that the Padres do. We were just discussing. We're really having trouble. We've got to come to a consensus.
I mean, it's important
on a
that's-
name here.
It's what we do. It's what Major League Baseball does now. I mean, everybody's got their shtick and their hashtags, and the hashtag is Bring the Gold this year, which I love. I love it. I'm going to incorporate a lot more gold into my daily fits when I head down to Petco Park. I
You've
like
got
the gold.
silver on right now.
I do. I got my Ben's Jesus piece on,
You need to
which
get
might
your
be
gold
the
one.
cause of my bad luck today when you have a heathen wearing a Jesus piece.
Yeah.
Just
Ben
getting
really should be wearing it.
pummeled online.
So we've thrown it out there for our tier 1s. We're trying to come up with the definitive nickname for this Padres lineup that we saw for the first time on Saturday. We're going to talk about that after a check of traffic. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Hint Water. Hint is pure water infused with surprisingly true fruit flavors, including watermelon, blackberry, and cherry. No sugar, no sweeteners, no calories. Available in your local grocery store or at drinkhint.com. Hint Water, hint with a touch of fruit flavor.
I found one I really like, and it works on a couple of different levels.
All right. Well, I've got one too.
Okay.
That you're going to laugh at probably after this check of
Here we
traffic
go.
on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, they cleared the crash on the northbound side of the 805 near Home Avenue. Just watch out for a little residual slowing. And that accident has been cleared from the fast lane on northbound 5 before Civic Center. We still have this accident on the Washington Street off-ramp, South 163. Also collision on the westbound side of the 8. This is just before the 805. A couple vehicles involved. That is mostly in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danick, Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So I think we have to acknowledge it's 2023. There's certain things that aren't going to fly. Like Murderers Row was great in the 1920s. Probably not something you're going to want to necessarily associate your family-friendly baseball team
but
with.
question.
People who kill other people.
Okay, question though. They're not actually murderers.
I
They're
get it.
murderers of the baseball.
I get it, but at the same time, if you're merchandising, if you're putting it out there, you're going to get some blowback. I just feel like it's not going to fly. Now, we've had a number of suggestions. Mount Crushmore, which is fantastic, but we did it already. Unfortunately, we wasted that one.
Guys, and let's be completely transparent. Whoever came up with Mount Crushmore when the Padres were in the middle of Slam Diego and doing the thing, I can't remember, and they're going to kill me because they actually sent me a rad. Their rad was it Punk Rock Paint? Maybe,
I think so, yeah.
That sent me the thing that he drew of Mount Crushmore. And at the time, you get so caught up in it, and you're like, this is amazing, and it's such a brilliant piece of artwork. I wonder if even he is lamenting, oh, maybe I should have not had one with Eric Hosmer and Will Myers on it and had one with Juan Soto and Manny Machado and Tatis.
Crap, I didn't know we were going to get Bogarts.
I didn't know we were going to get Bogarts.
Soto.
Yeah, I mean, no one in their right mind would have thought.
We all assume this is as good as it's ever going to get for the Padres.
Dude,
fair enough.
no,
I mean,
yes, you're absolutely right, Ben. In no one's wildest dreams did you picture.
we had a 4 tops lineup with like Tony Gwynn and Fred McGriff and maybe Tony Fernandez back in the day. I mean, there's a lot that's been done, and you have to come up with something unique. Now, here's my suggestion that you're going to laugh at, but I feel like you need to bring the gold is the slogan, the hashtag for the Padres this year. The Gold Dingers. Because they hit home runs.
First of all, Gold Dingers isn't a thing.
No.
No.
The Gold Dingers.
That's not a. So 4 tops was a thing.
Yeah.
Murderers Row.
Well, Gold Diggers is the thing. These are the Gold Dingers.
I get what you're saying. It's not.
Gotta explain it. We get it.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, what's yours, genius?
It's not. I like when he gets bitchy. So originally, I've been calling him, hoping it would catch on. The what did I call him? The 4 horses of the apocalypse, right? But I don't know that we really want an apocalypse
again.
either. So
Apocalyptic
scenes is not what we're looking for at Petco Park. Somebody made the nice suggestion. I think it was Sam right here. For the 4 fathers, FOUR, fathers, Padres, Padres, dads.
I like that one a
Like
lot.
4 fathers.
I saw that a few times.
FORE becomes FOUR.
Yes,
the
because
4
there's 4 of them.
fathers.
The 4 fathers.
Ooh, not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Not bad.
That's not bad at all. Somebody wrote Menudo. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember that
Saturday
band?
morning cartoons. They usually would appear. I remember
So
them.
good.
Los Cuadres.
Los Cuadres. I really like the 4. Fearsome Foursome's been done before. The Core 4's been done before. Fritz suggested those.
Do we need to expand it beyond the 4 and include everybody? America's finest lineup.
America's finest lineup is pretty good, but
It's
then
not
you
bad.
have a big shirt.
Yeah,
It
a lot of
stretches
people.
all the way around the back.
Yeah.
America's Finest Lineup is pretty good.
All right. Better than Gold Dingers. Yeah,
There's not
fair enough.
too many suggestions.
Gold dingers.
I really like Four Fathers. That one's resonating with me.
It doesn't necessarily convey the strength,
Mean, nasty.
yeah, the toughness of the
Okay,
team.
you're
I
right.
mean, it's certainly
They're literally 4 Padres.
Padres means father. It makes a lot of sense, but it's not intimidating necessarily.
You're right. You're right. I do like the idea though. That one's kind
Especially if you had like their faces on a shirt, the four fathers. But
the Pod Fathers. Has that been done? Quattro Daddies. That's sexual. Could be perceived as sexual.
We don't want that.
Speaking of, well, keep the suggestions coming
Yeah,
in.
keep
we
them
have,
coming.
We've already had 2 much better suggestions
What
than
was yours?
I was
the
able to
gold
come up.
dingleberries.
The gold dingers. Speaking of all-star lineups, World Baseball Classic, the Team USA finally looked like an all-star lineup last night against Cuba, just mashing the ball over the place in a 14-2 semifinal win. Trey Turner had a good 28 hours or so with a go-ahead grand slam against Venezuela on Friday night, or on Saturday night in the quarterfinals, and then Sunday night he had 2 more homers in the semifinal win over Cuba. Paul Goldschmidt had a 2-run shot early and 4 RBI, and it wasn't close, as Team USA is now 1 win away from defending their title
Trey
at the World
Turner,
Baseball
man,
Classic.
just absolutely locked in.
Jeez,
My
dude.
God.
I mean, as good as it gets. As good as it gets. Very
Although I will
difficult,
say
though.
on that grand slam, I tweeted it out at the time. You've got him 0-2.
Yeah.
The one thing that Trey Turner, we saw this in the playoffs, can be susceptible to is a breaking ball out of the zone, swinging away. How do you
was that a
lay?
heater for sure?
I don't know. It could have been a hanging slider, but it was.
It didn't.
It was
look,
just right down the middle. You cannot throw that pitch really to any major leaguer 0-2, but certainly not Trey Turner with the bases loaded 0-2. I mean, Venezuela, you deserve to lose that game just because of
Buddy,
that pitch alone.
and they bailed Mark DeRosa out so hard from what could have been one of the worst.
Team USA manager
Oh,
Mark
just-
DeRosa.
yeah, bailed him out when he went with Josh Bard. I understand going to Josh Bard, but man, when you see right away this guy doesn't have it. He had,
Daniel Bard.
I'm sorry, not Josh Bard. Daniel Bard, closer for the Rockies, who, by the way, has really battled back from having the yips. And that dude had the yips that night. He was hitting guys and throwing wild pitches, and he had nobody getting ready in the pen. It got away, and that's how fast. That's how fast. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. DeRosa's never managed at any level, but he's been around the game enough. He's got enough guys in that dugout too. You see how fast that game moves, and how you always have to be ready and thinking 3 or 4 moves down the road. He was caught with his pants down, and next thing you know, they're down.
This is what
and
happens
out.
when you have a manager who's never done it
It's
before.
exactly, but it happens to the
in the
best.
World
It
Baseball
happens to the
Classic.
best of them,
Yeah.
dude. And that's how fast that game. Baseball, notoriously slow game. Well, until your reliever comes in and can't throw a strike and is hitting guys, and next thing you know, you got bases loaded and wild pitches are going on. You got to have somebody ready to go, and he did not, and they bailed him out. And obviously, last night was kind of a laugher for him. But man, they had their chances. Cuba had their chances early. Loaded the bases in the first against Wainwright, who forgot how to do PFPs. Loaded the bases against him. Only managed 1 run, and from then it was like, okay,
He's also throwing like 87
yeah.
tops.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
just
got to be concerning for the Cardinals.
Well, I don't think so. I think they know what they have in Adam Wainwright. I don't think they looked at him and said, "Ooh, his velo's down a tick or 2." I think that's what you get with Adam Wainwright. He's going to be crafty. He's going to try to eat some innings. But man, they put the wood to him last night.
So Mexico and Japan will play tonight. Mexico rallied from a 4-0 deficit on Friday. Really good game to beat Puerto Rico 5-4 and advance to their first ever WBC semifinal. And we had another injury that caused everyone to throw their hands in the air again. Jose Altuve suffered a broken thumb in that Venezuela USA game on Saturday and is probably going to miss 2 to 3 months of the regular season, unfortunately, for the Houston Astros. And while it is a bummer, again, I don't think it changes our position from last week that the World Baseball Classic is so good for the game, especially internationally, that you really should have more. We need more players in this thing, not less players in it next time. And, all these arguments about injuries are just going to, I think, dampen participation 4 years from now when they do this again.
Well,
And I hate to see that.
let's think about some of the scarier moments that we've seen. Obviously, Edwin Diaz going down. You've got Altuve again, just drilled on the hand that was by Daniel Bard. And he's, like you said, he's out 3 or 4 months. Not a guy that you just slot, hey, no problem. We've got so-and-so, and he can fill right in for Jose Altuve. So if you're the Astros, you're terrified. Schwarber wore one yesterday too. That he kind of laughed it off. Nolan Arenado wore one as well, which has got to make your heart leap if you're a Cardinals fan. I think they said his was mostly precautionary. They took him out, but he was, doing the old shaking his hand.
Yeah.
That ball rides up and in, man, and it's hard for these guys to get out of the way. But conversely, go to Padres spring training. Austin Nola wears one in the face.
Yep.
Juan Soto gets hurt on a backfield. This is the game. It's the game. It's the game. It's the game. It's what happened.
We did hear Shohei Ohtani say that if Japan wins tonight, he is going to be available in relief for the championship game, which I mean has led me and other people to speculate that Yu Darvish would get the start for Team Japan in a potential championship game against the United States, which would be incredibly intriguing if that were the case. If we got to see you against that American lineup tomorrow on Tuesday night. Now, no official word, I believe, from Team Japan. I know Roki Sasaki is starting tonight's semifinal game against Mexico, but Yu Darvish would be on 4 days rest from his last appearance, which was in relief, if Japan does play tomorrow night against the USA.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ton of innings logged. I think he's only thrown 5 innings. And I know Bob Melvin said last week they would like him to throw more. So, I mean, if he gets to start, Shohei's already said he can come in relief. That'd be a pretty nasty final if they get there.
Baseball, a lot of things. It isn't boring. Join Rob Bradford on his podcast. Baseball isn't boring every day, talking with players, managers, GMs, and more, shining a light on America's pastime. Follow Baseball Isn't Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, that was a quick 2 hours. Come back. We've got more Padres talk from the weekend to get to and much more on Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Tony
Halfway home on a Monday, March 20th.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
The week.
It doesn't hit as well as it does on Friday when you get, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. But that's how we bookend this week. It's going to be an interesting week here on the Ben and Woods program for sure. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. Benjamin Higgins, Friendly Neighborhood Sports anchor, is going to be departing tomorrow after the show, flying up to Minneapolis, little mini layover there, and then you're going up, and then you're going all the way across to North Carolina.
Technically, because of the curvature of the earth, it's not as out of the way as you would think. You know, East Coast, you do that, you go over the top a little bit anyway.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's not.
I couldn't find a direct flight.
You could. You just didn't want to pay.
No, I really couldn't.
No, you could. I could find one.
It's
right
available.
now.
I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's available. You know it is. You don't have to lie to me.
I didn't find one.
You didn't pay for one.
No, you can't create a flight that doesn't exist. It's not a route. San Diego to Raleigh, Durham is not a route. At least at the time that I
Paulie,
needed to go,
Just
it's not.
just pull up Travelocity and we'll see what's
All
what.
right, not nonstop. San Diego,
San Diego
to Raleigh, Durham.
Durham.
Usually the nonstops are cheaper.
You're probably right. There probably is a stop.
Yeah.
So you're flying to Minneapolis,
Just switch planes. And then
switch planes.
make it to North Carolina.
What time are you supposed to get into North Carolina?
Like 5 in the afternoon.
5 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You'll be you're going to your hotel,
Yes.
and then will you hit balls tomorrow night?
I don't know. I think the sunset is I think we're probably just gonna have dinner and
Scrabble.
check in and Scrabble,
Mhm.
check in and get ready for an early tea time on Thursday morning.
And you are, we found out last week, not to blow the lid off of your plans, but you're sharing a room with your adult friend Scott,
I am.
which I found a touch odd.
Well, it's just how you buy it all packages. It's like a double occupancy sort of thing. I don't know if you can probably
Get your own
single
room.
it out, but it all comes together kind of just together when you stay together. We've done it before. We used to do it in college, so
Yeah, everybody did in college.
Yeah. not a big deal. I know you
No?
don't not a huge deal.
Paulie, yeah, we don't share a room.
No.
I would never share a room with you ever.
I'd prefer not to, especially
So
if it's
why
work. but
me and you
this is
wouldn't
fun.
do it
We're gonna-
with me?
well, I mean-
but you would with Scott.
I don't know.
You can say it.
I've known him a lot longer than you.
It doesn't matter. I see you. We know everything about each other. Why would you share a room with Scott and not me?
I don't know.
Say it.
It's probably I don't know. We're more similar, I would say.
You and Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both
I
a
won't
little
play Scrabble with
neater,
you on
which
a
is-
guy's
exactly.
road trip.
Exactly.
I won't be playing Scrabble.
We're gonna want to get plenty of rest. It's all about the golf. It's
Hey, you're probably
You do like
talking to
rest.
the right
That's true.
guy.
You do like
Nobody
rest.
likes rest more than I do.
We're in spring training. What's going to bed at like 6:30?
Bro, when I have a night to myself with no bath time, no reading books to sleep, no kids, da. It was literally 6:30. I'm like, you guys doing anything? No. All right. That night. Just go back to my room and fall asleep by 7. It was heavenly. Heavenly.
Like I haven't even started. I still got 3 more hours.
It's so true, dude. I was in bed at 6:30. There's still light outside in Arizona. But you take advantage of those times when you can get them. So then when you're done, when you wake up, you have some of the most incredible golf known to man.
looking forward to it. The American home of golf, Pinehurst. They've got 9 courses,
9
plus the
courses.
short cradle 9-hole course. So really, like 9.5 courses.
We talk about bucket list stuff on this program a lot. This is on there for sure.
Yeah.
Pinehurst.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a few like Bandon Dunes I
Yep.
still need to get to. A couple of other ones. Obviously, I'd love to do that either like a Scotland
Yes.
trip at some point, but this one is definitely one of the big ones for golfers to check off your
Pinehurst.
list.
Whew.
Pinehurst, North Carolina. It's an anchor site now for the U.S. Open, so they have U.S. Open scheduled at Pinehurst number 2. I think 3 or 4 of them, all the way out to like 2050. Every 6 or 7 years, the U.S. Open will be coming back to Pinehurst too. It's the famous site where Payne Stewart made that putt on 18 to beat Phil Mickelson, a young Phil Mickelson who was looking for his first major, and Payne grabbed Phil, grabbed him by the cheeks and said, "You're about to be a dad." You remember he was he was waiting for his wife to go into labor, and I had a pager and was gonna have to leave, the final round of the U.S. Open if she went into labor. She ended up giving birth the next day.
Yep.
He lost to Payne Stewart on that last hole, and of course, Payne Stewart tragically died in a plane crash just a few months later. There's a statue of him celebrating that putt with, his arm extended and his foot out at Pinehurst now. It's an iconic piece. I'm looking forward to seeing that and playing that course and that 18th hole and kind of seeing that moment.
Well, it's going to be special for you. I'm insanely jealous. But I know I would be terrible out there because I get paranoid and nervous playing like really nice courses. But here's the bummer. We won't see any of this. You're not going to send
documents.
Yeah,
I'll try my best. But
you said that last time, and you went to Hawaii on third.
That was the third trip to Hawaii.
I sent a couple of tweets and
one
pictures.
One picture of a beach that could have been taken in Del Mar. One picture.
I think I sent you a golf picture, didn't I? That jungly course. We only played the one round, so
will you please post?
Yes,
some stuff
so
we can follow along with you.
I think it's sportsy enough that maybe I will do some more posting.
It doesn't have to always be sportsy. I want to see it. Document it. Pretend you're Matt Janella from the Fire Pit Collective and document this trip for all of us laymen that won't be able to go. So it'll be me and Paulie in here.
I still want it to be a vacation, though. When I start documenting too much, you know what that feels like?
Work. That's true. It's just pictures, though.
Yeah.
I want to see this place.
You don't have to put a caption. Just
post
snap, picture,
post.
Open up Twitter, upload, tweet.
I will
takes 2 seconds.
At least 1 or 2 a day. I can make that commitment.
1 or 2.
By the way, we've got speaking of Manny Janella, he liked Mount Crushmore. We're starting to wonder whether that one can be repurposed still.
How big did Mount Crushmore catch on in 2020? I don't really recall.
I mean, we know here, but does anyone like in Maine or Minnesota know about Mount Crushmore from the 2020 pandemic season? Maybe not. We might be able to get away with that again.
Okay, just an updated
and just
Mount
update
Crushmore.
it with a different 4 faces.
All right.
For the Padres this season.
I think
I
could be
keep
down.
thinking about it. Speaking of non-sportsy, it is time for our tournament of drops to continue. We had our Elite 8 matchup of funny sound bites that we put out on Friday for our tier 1s to vote on, and the results are in, Paulie, and we are down to our final 4. We get through this tournament a lot faster than they do the college basketball tournament. So give us our results from the Elite 8 tournament of drops matchups, starting with the top of the bracket.
All right, we will start. The Elite 8 results are in. Ben, I think you have the final poll numbers.
I do have the
We'll
numbers
start
right in
off
front of me.
In the Ben region, we had the 2 seed.
Do you like hot fudge sundaes?
And
Is that the last carving guy remaining in the
that
tournament?
was the last carving guy
And we
left.
say was because
It fell to the very strong number 4 seed, Juan Soto.
Good morning, everybody.
and by strong, it's an 82.1% rout
I don't think it's had any close matchups the entire tournament.
over Hot Fudge Sundays. Yeah, this has been a stunningly good 4 seed. People loving Juan Soto, saying good morning. People love it.
Good morning, everybody.
I love it.
All right,
great.
so the first Final Four participant in our tournament of drops, Juan Soto. Congratulations.
All right, made the final 4.
Down to the Paul
I
region.
mean, he's going to be the MVP this year. A good way to start that is by winning the tournament of drops.
Good point.
Well, he's going to have to go up a very strong 2 seed. In the Paul region, the Elite 8 matchup, the 5 seed, Blake Snell,
Hold on. Remix.
which I think surprised a lot of people making it to the Elite 8. It fell to the number 2 seed.
Where are these cream pies coming from? That was a closer battle, but cream pies, 61.3% of the vote over Blake Snell's remix, 38.7% of the vote.
In the Woods region, the Elite 8 matchup saw the number 3 seed
There it was. Glory hole.
lose to the number 1 seed in the region.
Can I get a yeah? Oh yeah.
It was an odd matchup.
It was.
It was a contrast of styles,
Yes.
as they like to say. Like a great defensive team against a great offensive team.
Yes.
This was dirty old man against innocent young
Innocent
children.
children.
You don't see that often, but innocent young children, Taylor and Bo prevail 59.6%
Woo!
to 40.4%
Proud of my guys.
in that Elite Eight matchup.
Yep, chalk right there in the Woods region as the 1 seed makes it to the Final Four. And then we go down to the Atom region where we had a 1 versus a 2 seed in the Elite Eight. Very chalky right there. The 2 seed
Okay, how are you?
fell to what I would have to say has got to be the clear front runner to win the 4th annual Tournament of Drops this year. The 1 seed from the Atom region, of course.
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
All right, keep in mind, this was its closest matchup so far. Extra sweet, and still got 80.3% of the vote.
God,
And that's as close as it's got. It's gotten through 3 rounds without even breaking a sweat.
I mean, it's the type of team that
in
can
this
just show up
tournament.
with their reserves and they're still going to cruise to a 20-point victory.
They just out recruited everybody. They are deep and they are talented and they are rolling through this tournament right now.
So
We have been left with 4 drops remaining.
we've got 2 matchups to vote for today. The poll will be up very shortly. We will start off on the left side of the bracket. The 4 seed, one more time,
Good morning, everybody.
going up against a 2 seed.
Where are these cream pies coming from?
Good Lord.
And then on the right side of the bracket, we have a battle of 1 seeds.
Can I be honest? I feel like, you know how they sometimes say the real championship is in the semifinals? I think this might be the real championship here.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
up against
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
The only time I've ever wanted my kids to lose.
I mean,
Anything.
surprising
To
things
teach
can
them.
happen, and maybe there'll be a shocker in the final. But to me, whoever wins this second semifinal becomes a prohibitive favorite in the championship matchup
Yes.
tomorrow. Correct?
Yeah. My kids need to learn to lose.
Now, I
with
don't.
some
I,
grace.
I think that Bo has won before.
Yes.
Taylor only. I mean, it's like they said they had Bo, and then they went out and signed Taylor.
Yeah.
This is an even stronger team
Speaking
than the
of
one
Mount Crushmore,
that won the drops tournament a couple of years ago. But they're going up against the juggernaut in Adam. This is the matchup for me of the tournament. I kind of wish they were on opposite sides now. Just doesn't work out that way. They will meet in the national semifinals instead.
if we went back into the Wayback Machine, was it year 2 that Bo won the tournament?
Yep.
And he beat a Ben drop.
Second, Ben.
suck it, Ben.
A loser,
You're a
Ben.
loser, Ben.
Might be saying that again at the end of the tournament.
I'm really pulling for Adam.
We got to get him a trophy.
Oh, we will. We will.
So you can go to our Twitter page
Yep.
at Ben and Woods. Once again, we've threaded them, although this one's just two matchups. A lot easier to go through and just vote for your 2 favorites
Putting it up
who you think should
right
advance to the Tournament of
now.
Drops Championship tomorrow. And then it'll be time to crown the winner.
Who
of-
is Cream Pies against again?
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto.
All right. Yeah, Cream Pie should win.
You think so?
Yeah.
Soto's been
He's red hot.
surprisingly strong so
Does
far.
the oblique strain hurt his
Maybe.
chances? a
It's
little
possible. You don't want to do anything that might make it overly tax him. But I do think this is the year of Juan Soto. I could
Yeah.
see Juan Soto winning everything all year long. Tournament of Drops,
bit? MVP.
MVP, World Series
Batting
title, World
champion.
Series MVP, batting champion, home run champion. What else can we throw Juan Soto's way this year in the year of Juan
And
Soto?
World Series champion, buddy.
And it's all starts potentially with the Tournament of Drops win.
I'm here
on
for
Ben
it.
and
Go
Woods.
vote.
If
Get your votes
Soto
in.
loses, though, is that a bad omen? It's
Yes,
only good omens if he
absolutely.
wins, right?
No, it's not a bad.
Ben
one.
doesn't want Cream Pies to be in the finals. Don't
That's
listen
part
to
of
him.
it, yes.
Yeah. Do not listen.
All
to him.
guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet Find New Road. Speaking of Juan Soto, that oblique will be checking in with Sammy Spring Training. Get the latest on Soto and Austin Nola.
Oh, poor guy.
Getting hit in the nose yesterday by Michael Fulmer's fastball from the Cubs. Hopefully Bob Melvin will have some good news that Sammy can relate coming up at 9:35 this morning.
R.I.P. to the carving guy. We hardly knew ye.
Just didn't have what it takes.
No. Some of its parts was better than
He went the way of Old Country Buffet as well.
he did. He did.
All right, we've got an important Tier 1 tour today. Dare I say a little more important than some of the other ones because the Philadelphia Phillies
Ooh, Mamacita.
are the next team in our training camp, spring training spotlight. So we'll break that down when we come back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. We've already gone through all the first half opponents of the San Diego Padres, and now we've entered the second half of the season as we go team by team in order of the Padres opponents for 2023 in our Tier 1 tour of spring training. And that brings us to coming out of the All-Star break, the first matchup against the team that knocked the Padres out in the National League Championship Series last year was the Philadelphia Phillies, who, of course, added Trey Turner in the offseason to what was already a formidable lineup.
Yes, indeed. And they are the perfect example. And I know we've used it before of a team that peaked at the, you want to say at the exact right time, because going into the playoffs, they were not peaking by any stretch. They were 14-17, Ben, over their last 31 games. And it was basically only because Milwaukee faltered that they did, in fact, kind of back their way into the playoffs. Now, when I say they peaked at the exact right time, it's exactly what they did. When the playoffs started and the dial gets turned up, those dudes were ready. They answered the call. They were doing things that they just didn't do in the regular season. They were playing defense. Nick Castellanos, who was horrid in right field, was game-saving plays. They had the ability at the right time
That's
to
a good
ratchet
point.
it up.
They're not necessarily the boogeyman that you could make them out to be. There are flaws with the Philadelphia Phillies. However, you look at the Team USA lineup, they're more American than the Padres team. Let's say that. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, all contributing to Team USA right now in the World Baseball Classic. They figure to be, 3 of their 4 top hitters this season. Obviously, Bryce Harper is going to be out after surgery until around midseason, but the reports on his recovery have been generally positive. Feeling like he is going to be able to come back and contribute well at some point this season. There are more question marks at the bottom of the order. After you get past, Realmuto and Castellanos, it's not necessarily as deep as what the Padres will put onto the field for sure.
No, I mean, but adding Trey Turner to that lineup is pretty staggering. What he's going to be able to do for the top of the lineup, the ability for them to score runs. You got to imagine that a guy like Nick Castellanos is going to, he's had a season under his belt in Philly. They got so close last year. That probably bodes pretty well for a guy like him. They're going to be a good team. And now with the Mets losing their closer, the Braves, they're a really talented team as well. But I mean, even the Braves have question marks. That division is going to be a blast to watch. I would say that the Phillies are definitely a playoff team. They've got the pitching to do it as well. The back end of their bullpen is one of the filthiest in the game of baseball. It's just absolutely torrid back there at the back end of that bullpen. They picked up our pal Matt Strom. He was kind of expected to be a kind of a high leverage guy, and then they went out and got the guy from Detroit. What the hell was his name? I'm completely.
They still have Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Sir Anthony Dominguez. Who the hell did they get from Detroit? That guy, Gregory Soto. Gregory Soto. We were talking to Strom. Strom's like, bro, I may pitch in mop-ups, mop-ups and spot starts at this point because the back end looks so good for them. So they're going to be a tough opponent.
Aaron Nola remains the ace of their staff. A sneaky candidate for best pitcher in baseball that no one really talks about a ton. And the Padres,
really
the Padres did have some success against him in the playoffs. He didn't completely lock them down, but then they've got Zach Wheeler, who is also, as good of a 1-2 punch perhaps as anyone you're going to find in the National League. And then the depth behind those guys, Ranger Suarez, Taijuan Walker. After that, it gets a little dicier, but who doesn't in the the fifth and in the sixth spots in the rotation? Maybe Bailey Falter, Andrew Painter are some of the options there. But for the most part, it's a top 5 rotation. It's definitely a top 10 lineup. This is a team
top 3 bullpen
that is going to be a formidable opponent in the National League.
Now, the prediction that I saw, and I don't know when this came out, could have been today, could have been a couple of days ago. This certain website, it's just MLB.com, an article written about the East. Got the Braves finishing at the top, 97-65. Got the Mets at 91-71, and got the Phillies at 88-75. That feels right to me. That feels pretty right. 87-88 wins for those guys. Again, knowing that you're going to be without your superstar Bryce Harper for at least half a season, that feels about right. And I feel like that's don't know that I'd be comfortable taking the over or the under
That's a good
on
number.
87 and a half.
I mean, would it stun you though if the things came together for the Phillies and
No.
they won 94, 95 games? I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd probably go over on that for the Philadelphia Phillies, and wonder if maybe the Mets or the Braves falter a little bit and they can move up in the division this year. Maybe even make a run at the division title. Who knows what it can go either way. Making it to the World Series and coming up short can have two different effects on a team. It can make you hungrier, confident, come back. We got so close. We know we can do this. Let's do this all the way through the season this year. And it can also have a bit of a hangover effect. You see teams that get that close and then realize, oh man, we got to start over from scratching. We were so close to the brass ring. Can you put together another 6+ months just to get back to the point that you were so close to? It can be tough for some teams as well. So I think that is part of the challenge for the Philadelphia Phillies. It's not, their manager isn't exactly proven. I mean, he was an interim manager who took over last year and had a lot of success, but probably a long way to go before you can say Rob Thompson's one of the best managers in baseball. He had a great first tryout year. Now, how does he do going all the way through from spring training, the grind of the entire regular season, and into the postseason? I like him.
I think he's good. Yeah, I mean, they played really hard for that dude last season, and to a man, I think they were all huge fans of his. He did a great job. There's just no question about it. So I like the Phillies a lot. I think they're going to. I mean, getting Turner to replace at least Bryce Harper for half a season's of production will be good. And then when Bryce gets back, yeah, man. Again, this could be that second half team that kind of steamrolls their way in the second half and rolls into the playoffs. But that division's going to be, we always say this every year. We always kind of pick a division to watch. Something happens and it turns out to be a turd for some reason.
Right.
It's hard for me to look at any of those three teams and go, yeah, I really see them taking a step back. Braves getting Acuna Jr. back. The Mets are doing what the Mets do. They've got really good starting pitching. They've got guys that can mash. I don't look at any of those teams and go, yeah, one of them is going to fall off the cliff. I just don't think it's going to happen.
All right. We mentioned it.
Call me when you get your phone.
10 days away from opening day. You can join 97.3 The Fan on Thursday, March 30th at Happy Does at 340 Fifth Avenue for opening day, presented by Coors Light, made to chill. We'll be broadcasting live, and then Coach is going to follow us live from Happy Does starting at 6 a.m. all the way until noon, leading up to coverage of the opener at Petco Park. So we'll see you out there. Happy Does right there on Fifth Avenue, right in the heart of all the action in downtown San Diego for opening day. Great way to start the season. Same place we were last year, and should be another great setup again for us just 10 days from now, next Thursday.
Woo, mama, cannot wait.
All right, before that, a lot of drama to get to, including more NCAA tournament action. We are down to the Sweet 16, and it's always fun when a team from your town is still alive at this point in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk more basketball and more Padres coming up the weekend that was at spring training. Coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 to The Fan. My bracket strategy of picking one conference and like sticking to it didn't work out very well for me. Really, no conferences have dominated. In fact, I think there's 11 different conferences represented in the Sweet 16 left. There's only one Big Ten team. They got like 8 in the tournament, and there's only one Big Ten team remaining, and it's a 7 seed. Michigan State is the only team left from the Big Ten. Obviously, San Diego State is the only Mountain West team. You've got Gonzaga from the WCC. You've got UCLA from the Pac-12. Princeton from the Ivy League. It's just kind of a mishmash of who made it through the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament.
So that's your strategy every year.
It was.
I
yeah.
really like the Big 12.
I just pick a conference that you think may do well, and
you don't.
They weren't it.
Go like team by team, just game by game.
Well, I just think it's hard to compare. I mean, when in college basketball, you haven't played a game out of your conference probably since December,
right?
So it's very hard to determine which teams are really playing that well. I mean, yeah, you won your conference, but maybe your conference wasn't
that great,
wasn't that good, or maybe you finished 4th in your conference, but you've been facing these great teams, and all of a sudden you go to the NCAA tournament. It's like, oh, these teams aren't as good as the teams we've been playing in our conference all year, and you make a deep run in the tournament. We see that quite often, actually.
It's a good strategy. It's a decent strategy until it's not, and it's not now. So you're out.
I'm not out, but I'm definitely not doing great.
Paul, do you have any winners left?
I've got 3 of my final 4.
That's not bad.
Good.
That's not bad. I've only got 2.
I had Purdue, which I was
yeah.
happy to see them lose.
Yeah, that was fun.
Totally worth it.
That was really fun.
Actually, in the Rhino report, I wanted to highlight FDU a little bit more from that we missed earlier. Some of the stats and the notes like surrounding their run in the tournament was unbelievable.
Is it Fairleigh or Farley?
Fairleigh
Dickinson. And they're from Jersey?
Teaneck, New Jersey.
Oh,
but no, 3 out of 4. I'm still feeling okay. I got Houston. I mean, nothing would make me happier than to have my bracket absolutely shattered on Friday if Alabama were to lose to San Diego State.
Because I got
Houston over Alabama in the finals.
I don't think anyone cares.
No, literally nobody cares.
Because I'm doing my fantasy baseball draft tomorrow night, and I don't know that I will come in on Wednesday and rip off. You won't be here. You'll be on vacation.
No, but everyone has a bracket. I mean, I assume that you're talking about your own brackets at home as well and how you're doing.
I guess if we had like Seth Davis in studio to break down his bracket, that would be interesting.
Would that be interesting?
Sharpie.
I always wonder what's interesting and what's not.
Never really know for sure.
Personal brackets. I just don't know.
I mean, if you had a perfect bracket through the weekend,
that's
like
interesting.
that would be interesting. But
that is very interesting.
We already don't know anything about any of these teams outside of like San Diego State and a couple others. So
the next games start
Thursday.
Okay.
4 games on Thursday, 4 more games on Friday.
Okay.
And then we'll be down to the Elite 8.
And then after that,
Thursday's winners play on Saturday. Friday's winners play on Sunday. And then we're down to the Final 4.
Final 4 starts.
We'll have the Final 4 matchups on Monday morning.
And the following Saturday will be the national semifinals. And 2 weeks from today, Monday night, will be the national championship game.
Okay.
We'll already be in baseball season by the time we get there.
Yeah, we will be in full bore baseball.
Now, I do think there are some extra benefits to San Diego State beyond just the run in the NCAA tournament. Want to get to some of that coming up. I'd love to hear from some Aztecs fans as well. Our phone lines are open, 833-288-0973. This hour on The Fan is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Replace your afternoon coffee with a 5-Hour Energy. It's perfect when you're feeling coffeeed out and your stomach will thank you. Discover 5-Hour Energy. Learn more at 5hourenergy.com.
Was that the best game the Aztecs have played this season?
I think so.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, yes. Given the
weight and the magnitude, obviously.
Of course. But in terms of just overall performance, both offensively and defensively.
Where would you have put if you had to place number 13 Furman into the Mountain West? Are they at the top with San Diego State? Are they in the middle?
No, I think they're
Middling.
They might be like a third or fourth place type Mountain West team. That's my opinion.
So it's kind of San Diego State's average opponent this year, but given
But
everything,
but
the
given
stage,
Given how
You
average
could argue
they
their
played average opponents,
Their
sometimes.
blowout win at home against Boise State was
Mhm.
very impressive. Their win over Ohio State
they
at the
just
Maui
completely
Invitational
dominated.
was a
from it.
really good win as well, though Ohio State ended up not being as good as people thought. They didn't make the tournament. But I mean, given the stage and the setting, you're not going to get much better than that for San Diego State. And part of that is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. We'll do that after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a few things to watch out for. Eastbound 54 before Rayo Drive, we have reports of some sort of debris in middle lanes that is causing some flat tires on some vehicles. Northbound side of the 15 with the eastbound King Freeway connector ramp, stalled car over the right shoulder. And someone's dropped a bicycle in the slow lane, westbound side of the 78 just past Jefferson. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
What's Brian Dutcher's job, Woods?
Is the
Dentist.
I feel like this is a trick.
It is a bit of a
question.
trick question.
Brian Dutcher is a leader of men.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a basketball
coach.
Teaching these guys how to play. But behind all that, when you're a college basketball coach, you also have to be a bit of a promoter and advertiser for your program. The reason being is you can't be a good college basketball team without recruiting good college basketball players.
That is the most obvious take.
And while San Diego State has done a great job since Steve Fisher got here with Brian Dutcher of going out and finding the right kind of players for their program, you also have to convince them to want to come to San Diego State. And one big thing that a run in the NCAA tournament does, especially one in which you're the only game in town on Saturday morning, and you'll be the only game in town for the first 45 minutes or so on Friday afternoon when you're facing #1 Alabama. It's free national advertising for your basketball program.
Exposure.
Huge exposure.
Huge exposure.
For Brian Dutcher and his team.
What can a team do in a tournament like this to show? Because the other thing you'll find when you're watching the tournament, and I don't watch a ton of college basketball, been very vocal about that point. That being said, you know what surprises the absolute crap out of me every tournament is just how many really great basketball players there are out there. And they're not all on the Kentuckys. They're not all on the blue blood teams. You're like, who's this kid? And Fairleigh Dickinson was the only, you never know the circumstances behind, could have a sick parent he wanted to be close to. You have
that
no
lightning
idea.
Bug for Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yes. And
just goes around everywhere.
You're going, wait, that was the best you could have done, and you look and go, man, and you feel like Brian Dutcher knows he knows about every player, because you have to be in on everybody. You got to know every player from every nook and cranny of this planet. That being said, there's probably some that he looks at and goes, that dude must have fallen through the cracks, because you see these superstar caliber players on really small middling teams.
And give credit to the coaches for turning those guys into superstar players. And Brian Dutcher, generally they recruit the 3-star type high school players, and then they turn them into 4 and 5-star players once they get to San Diego State. But those 5-star guys they're ticketed for Kentucky, and they're ticketed for Alabama and Duke and North Carolina.
It's almost like you don't want to put too many eggs in those baskets.
And I don't think Brian Dutcher and his staff really spend too much time on those guys. It's kind of a waste of their effort
and resources.
You really have to focus on the guys that you think you can land. But I remember when San Diego State made their first run to the Sweet 16 with Kawhi Leonard, what a game changer it was. And Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher talking about how they used to have to, call up the parents and say, hi, I'm Steve Fisher from San Diego State. I want to tell you about my program and why I think your son would be a great fit for us. And after Kawhi, all of a sudden they were the ones answering the phones from top high school, college basketball players who were going to play college basketball. And the parents going, hey, we saw your program and we liked a lot of what we saw. Tell us more about your San Diego State Aztecs. It makes a huge difference to a program to get this kind of exposure in March, and especially after the first round when everyone gets lost in the noise of 16 games on Thursday and 16 games on Friday, unless you're a 15 pulling off an upset of a 2 or something like that. But then once you get to the second round and then the Sweet 16 especially, less teams to talk about. These days between the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when the Aztecs don't play, but the sports centers of the world are doing their breakdowns, and online columns are talking about which teams are left and pros and cons of everything. That's a whole extra week now of free publicity for San Diego State that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. It's absolutely huge to make it this far. And by the way, doesn't hurt when a conference like the Pac-12 or Big 12 is thinking about expansion, and it makes it just a little bit easier when they eventually do make that phone call to J.D. Wicker and the president of San Diego State. Hey, we'd like you to join our conference. It's an easier sell for the rest of the members. Oh yeah, San Diego State, yeah, they've earned it. They deserve a place among the big boys of college basketball with what they've done. Just makes it all a little smoother.
Well, it's funny you
by
mentioned
what
that
they've done,
because it's crazy. You're seeing guys like Seth Davis and guys tweeting about the Aztecs, and it's almost like you saw people doing a little reflection. And I think it was Seth Davis that tweeted over the weekend. It was like, I just got struck by the fact that the San Diego Aztecs have a really good basketball program and have for quite a while. They start going back and going, it's got me thinking about that 2020 team and what they would have. And you're like, oh, here's some of that national love. You're absolutely right. It's massively important.
Well, like on Saturday
put
morning,
on a good show
when they're the only team on the big CBS, not True TV.
Everybody's
not,
thinking about,
TNT even, but they were on CBS. They were the only game
in
and when that game wraps up and San Diego State doesn't just squeak by for a minute, I mean, just manhandles them. And you've got, I don't remember who was on CBS, Charles Barkley, Seth Davis,
Greg Gumbel. They're sitting on the set,
right? And they're just raving about your team.
And I think I remember the quote from Charles Barkley. He goes, "Yeah, the Furman, they've got some good college basketball players. San Diego State, they got men.
Yeah,
they got men on their team. It was kind of night and day. And I was even watching last night. It was Barkley again. He said, one of the notable things I took from the last 2 days, San Diego State's performance. He was still talking about it almost 2 days later of what the Aztecs did. That's huge. Charles Barkley, you can laugh at Charles and all the Capital One ads and
he's one of my favorite people on television.
He talks about your college basketball program. That is absolutely enormous. What's happening right now for San Diego State
goes miles, man. It really does.
All right, 8:51. It's Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't forget, our Ben and Woods Open is coming up Thursday, April 6th at Rancho Bernardo Inn. We're just 2 days away from the slots going on sale this Wednesday, March 22nd. Thank you to our sponsors, Virgin Beer, Bushmills Irish Whiskey. Just makes it's going to be a good time out at RBN on April the 6th. That's for sure. Let's see. We talked obviously about the injuries for the Padres this weekend, but the actual games Friday, Fernando Tatis had his first home run of the spring. Got it just over that line, hit a rocket line drive to center field against the Seattle Mariners.
A little anticlimactic with him not knowing
he
if
wasn't
it went
sure
over or
because it's just a painted line on a fence. So he kind of stopped at first and turned back, and the umpire said, no, it's a home run. You can keep going. But he did do his stagger step at third.
The old stutter step.
He did the stutter as he went around and circled the bases. And he had a good weekend, hit the ball well out in the lineup regularly. Blake Snell struggled a bit on Friday. I don't know how much of that you caught. It was a weird outing.
Did they pull him?
They pulled him, put him back in.
Okay.
So he gave up a double, I think, on his first pitch, and then struggled out of the stretch in the first inning, and they took him out after just 2/3 of an inning. But then they put him back in, and out of the windup, he went 1-2-3 in the second and 1-2-3 in the third, and looked great. But then in the fourth inning, he put a base runner back on, and again out of the stretch, he started struggling. So it was very much a tale of two Blake Snells on Friday. Windup looked like an all-star, a Cy Young. Stretch looked like he didn't know what he was doing. It feels very Blake, doesn't it? Something else in his head to figure out here. And I'm sure he will get it figured out. But considering they're thinking about making Blake Snell the opening day starter, depending on how stretched out Yu Darvish is, and with Joe Musgrove's injury, well, if he doesn't allow any base runners, he'll be fine.
Yeah, just very easy way to combat that. Just don't let anybody on. Just don't walk a soul and just use your good stuff.
I'm sure he'll never put anybody
Nobody.
on base, and it'll be absolutely fine. We talked about Saturday, the fully operational Death Star lineup for the San Diego Padres. Pretty much everybody, other than you had Campusano catching instead of Nola, but Nelson Cruz was in there, Jake Cronenworth was in there, Ha-Seong Kim. It was essentially what you probably will see many days after April the 20th for the San Diego Padres on Saturday, and they rallied for an 11-6 win. Just shows you, how once the runs started coming, how easily they came in that lineup, and when you put guys on at the bottom of the lineup, how dangerous it is then coming back to the top of that order with those four guys, especially at the top. That was very fun to watch.
Marco says in the chat, he says, we're playing the Rockies. I'm sure we'll be okay. Yeah, you say that, Marco, until you go out and you lose 7-1.
Gave up a walk-off to the Diamondbacks on opening day last year on the road.
Snell comes out, can't find it. Newest Rocky, we briefly mentioned it earlier. We need to talk a little bit about Jurickson Profar, who has landed a gig. He's got a gig, Ben. He found a job with the Colorado Rockies. For about, I think the number,
that was 750,000 more than what he opted out of.
Yeah,
opted out of 7.
He really had to save face. He needed to get something more than he could have opted in with the Padres.
Even if it was $1.
It's barely anything, but it is more. And I'll make this argument because I saw a lot of people going, "Boy, I bet he wish he could go back and take his $7 million, whatever it was, and play on this all-star lineup." Jurickson Profar would have been riding the bench a lot for the Padres this year.
Not to start the
season, but if the Padres were healthy, Jurickson Profar was going to be a utility role player. I would have loved Jurickson Profar as a utility role player, but if he wants to be an everyday player, Colorado's actually a much better place for him to do that. And with a 1-year deal and getting free agency again, you're not going to make the big bucks as a role player utility guy with the Padres. He wants to put up another season like he did last year with, 450, 500 at bats and maybe do better on the free agent market the next time around. So from a business decision, it really wasn't that bad of a call for Jurickson Profar. From an emotional decision, I've got to imagine it's going to be a bit of a struggle enthusiastically, playing for the Colorado Rockies and watching your former teammates do what we think the Padres will be doing this year.
Got to be a bit of a stinger, to show up. Yeah, hey, you're going to be at Petco Park for opening day. You just happen to be playing with the Colorado Rockies and that organization.
So get a nice round of applause.
Oh, man.
I think from Padres
I think
fans.
So, yeah. I think so.
On opening day.
I did feel a little bummed.
And that might be the highlight of his season, actually. All guests on Bennett Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Sammy Spring Training in our 9 o'clock hour. A Reindl Report coming up next. Stay tuned for more on 97.3 The Fan. Well, we all had such a great time at the San Diego Loyal game last weekend. Did anyone go to the second game yesterday afternoon at Torero Stadium?
I did not, but I know they absolutely
They
dominated.
did.
Phoenix.
3-0 win. Another good turnout. The Chavos and the locals out there. Coque Vegas had another shutout. Evan Conway scored the first goal, and they are now 2-0 on the season, all 6 points in the standings for the San Diego Loyal this weekend. The Seals won on the road.
Big win. Amazing
Friday
game.
night at Vancouver.
Amazing game. Watch the whole thing.
Rolled to a fairly easy victory. The Legion, I think, are in first place. They won again. They're 4-1. Rugby. The Wave.
Rubgy.
The Wave start their season this Saturday, Snapdragon Stadium against Chicago. Second season of San Diego Wave soccer. Lots of good local action. Gulls lost twice, but they're still fun if you want to go to a Gulls game. But they did.
It was their Saturday night.
You were at the Gulls
You
game.
went
That's right. I
Saturday?
saw some social mediaing at the Gulls game.
Yeah, we had a good time there. Always a good time.
Couldn't lift him to a win over the Iowa Wild.
Could not.
But
It was 2-0 for a while, Iowa, and then the girls scored
Iowa.
2 goals in like 15 seconds. They'd barely finished announcing the first goal when they scored the second
Love
one.
when that happens.
Yeah, it's fun.
So are the Seals? They're still on the road again this week.
Yeah, well, they do an away and home back-to-back nights, which is gnarly. They
Oh,
played-
so they're both on the road then at home.
So we got Friday night in Fort Worth, Texas against Panther City, and then we are home on Saturday night to take on the Bandits. Going to be the toughest game of the year. The Bandits are nasty and dirty.
So you're gonna have to fire up the crowd at Pechanga Arena.
They had 15,000 at Bandit Land for their game last week. and
Wow.
it was packed. I'd love to get that arena filled. So get your tickets at sealslax.com.
Oh, and the Sockers, of course. Paulie mentioned it earlier, but they won twice and earned their supporters shield again for the best record in the MASL with a win last night over Empire Strikers 7-3.
Yep.
So
yeah, this weekend's gonna be nuts. Love to see you guys out there. Sealslax.com.
and of course we're just biding time until opening day a week from Thursday. Last spring training game's actually a week from today. Padres will be heading home from Peoria just over a week from now after a game against the Mariners, and then Tuesday and Wednesday off, and then opening afternoon on Thursday against the Colorado Rockies.
Beautiful.
So you're updated on the local sports scene from the Aztecs to the Padres and everything in between. For the rest
Ooh,
of the
I like that.
headlines,
That was slick.
let's get
You're
to
updated on the local sports scene.
from the Aztecs to the Padres and everything in between.
New tagline for you.
Now let's get to the Rindle Report.
And get things started here with our today's edition
Oh,
of the
boy.
Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
Number 1 seed right there, Bowen Taylor.
Yeah.
Going up against Adam. It's going to be tough.
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
So now at our Ben and Woods Twitter page in the Tournament of Drops Final Four.
It's the Rondo Report brought to you by the San Diego Sockers. The Lords of Indoor are on the march to the Ron Newman Cup playoffs. Get your tickets today at sdsockers.com. Wanted to start out, teased it a little earlier, talk a little bit more about Fairleigh Dickinson. We've only seen it. It's only happened one other time, right? A 16 beating a 1, but this was not a well-known 16 seed that had a bad year or anything like that. Some of the notes that I saw about this school, it was blowing my mind. I couldn't get enough of it. So first of all, FDU, they weren't even supposed to be in the tournament. Merrimack won the NEC conference.
But it's not
The
like
neck.
they didn't get an at-large bid
No.
into the tournament.
So Merrimack should have been in the tournament, but since they're still transitioning to D1, FDU took their place. So wasn't even supposed to be there.
There's no reason Purdue should lose that game.
It's like UCSD is still transitioning
Yeah.
to D1,
Yes.
so they can't take part in the NCAA tournament yet,
Correct.
even if they won the Big West.
Correct.
They don't even let them play in the conference tournament, but they did let Merrimack play. And Merrimack won it. but they didn't get to go.
Exactly. Fairleigh Dickinson closed as a 23.5-point underdog against number 1 Purdue. Made Friday night the largest upset in NCAA tournament history. They showed the arena capacities. Purdue plays in an arena that holds 14,240 people. It's a powerhouse school, blue blood, right? FDU's gym, and I say gym, almost every high school in San Diego, I think, probably
It's
has a
barely
better.
bigger than this studio.
It is tiny. There's like 40 seats, it feels like. I saw a picture of the guy with the big flag running. I'm like, do you have to do that if there's 100 people there?
Few people.
Their capacity is 1,852.
Wow.
It looks like a middle school gym. This made the rounds. There was a kid sitting courtside in a suit. He's a junior at the university. He's their director of media relations.
Oh my God.
They don't have it.
They don't have one.
A PR
He
team.
goes to the school and they said, "Hey, do you want to be our PR director while you're a student here? Go right ahead."
And finally, FDU doesn't have a band. So yesterday, the University of Dayton's band played for them.
Oh, wow.
They had won though. I think Bon Jovi was going to be their band.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that
Springsteen,
coach?
maybe.
What's the coach's name and how he
Tobin?
Tobin? Yeah, he was that speech he gave to the team. He, like, the more I see Purdue, the more I think we can beat these guys. Before the game had even started, he talks like a mile a minute. You can barely understand him, but he's very enthusiastic and certainly made those guys believe something that you really shouldn't have believed. You're the smallest team in college basketball, essentially, and you're facing the 7-4 player of the year.
Yeah.
You should have no hope whatsoever in that game. No hope at all. And they did it. They won. Amazing.
I'm going to keep it rolling with college hoops. We had a bad beat this weekend. And when I mean, one of the worst bad beats I've ever seen. TCU versus Gonzaga. Gonzaga, the 3 seed. Horned Frogs, the 6 seed. This game is over. It's in the late in the second half. There are 0.7 seconds left on the clock. I'm trying to paint the picture for you. The score after a made free throw is Gonzaga 84, TCU 78. That is 6 points.
6 points,
And-
says my math.
And TCU, so they have the ball on the opposite end of the court with less than a second.
Baseline, 0.7 seconds.
I mean, you don't
It's
have
not-
to tip
if
it
it was-
in, but it's just barely more than a tip in is all you can do.
Right. 4.5 point underdogs. So TCU plus 4.5.
Okay.
Down
TCU
6.
plus 4.5, down 6.
They inbound the ball.
They roll
and
it.
they do the whole, you roll it and see how far you can get it before somebody
And
finally starts
Gonzaga
playing
doesn't
some
really care
defense.
because they know as soon as they touch the ball, the game is
Game's
essentially
over.
over.
Right, yeah.
So they just stay away from it. It's like, what are you doing? This is pointless.
You
what
can
you're doing
roll
right
it
now.
to the other baseline, pick
I mean,
it up, and make a layup.
I'm watching it
if
again
you
right now.
want it.
The free throw goes in. Gonzaga is they're hugging each other. This game is over. TCU players, they're even hugging and high-fiving Gonzaga. The game is over, but the ball keeps rolling across half court now. Clock still hasn't started because nobody's touched it yet.
Right.
And with 0.7 seconds left, TCU player picks it up, I would say right between the half court line and the 3-point line. So maybe 7 or 8 feet behind the arc.
Still not easy to get a shot off in
No,
0.7 seconds, especially when you're picking it up off the ground.
I mean, the ball's not bouncing at this point. It is rolling along the ground. He picks it up, chucks it up. It goes in. Final score,
Oh.
84 to 81. TCU covers 4.5 points.
You always do have to remember that with every bad beat comes the other side
The
of
other
the coin.
side.
This
It's
is
like,
the person
oh my God.
who just bet on TCU
Yes.
and just
One.
incredibly won a bet that they had no business winning
Yeah.
at the end of the game.
No
It
question.
was unreal. And finally, we'll wrap it up. Do you guys like Taco Bell out there? I know you do.
I do. Ben?
I don't hate it. I mean, it depends on the menu item, but there are certain things that, good Mexi melt.
Oh, our buddy Edward tweets in, the 3 at the end of the Gonzaga game cost me $2.50.
Oh,
No.
Oh, no.
You're feeling so good about that one. You're feeling like that's $2.50 in my pocket.
I mean, it was a close game, so you could have gone either way almost until the very end. And then you have it,
That's a bad beat.
and then you don't.
That is a bad beat.
All right,
Taco Bell.
fire away.
They are, I don't remember these items. I think I vaguely remember them, but I don't believe I've ever tried them. So Taco Bell is bringing back some 90s hits in what they're calling a blast from the past menu. They're reintroducing the Volcano Burrito,
Never heard of it.
the
I
Volcano
vaguely remember
Taco,
it.
Never heard of it.
and the option to add lava sauce on
Ooh,
any
wait a minute.
item.
Now you're bringing up I
Little
think I-
little extra
Is
spicy.
it spicy cheese? Is that what the lava sauce is?
I thought it was just like one of their hot sauces.
Just like a hot sauce. I don't know
I
if
don't
there's
know.
cheese involved.
They're bringing all of this back
I'd have to bring
starting in
cheese into
June. The company announced over the weekend, they said from petitions to people recreating their own DIY alternatives, Taco Bell fans took to social
Yeah, it
advocating for the return.
It was spicy nacho cheese. I knew
The
it.
lava sauce.
Yes.
Oh,
I don't remember
I'm
that.
all in.
I don't know that I can do it.
I'm all in.
All right, well, volcano taco, volcano burrito, and then you put the spicy cheese on it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
menu changes at Taco Bell are very polarizing. They brought the Mexican pizza back recently.
Yep.
I actually liked the Mexican pizza.
Never had it.
Not bad. My wife was so bummed. She loved the 7-layer burrito, and they
7-layer
took that
burritos,
off the menu
delicious. Yeah.
in the last year or so.
Yeah, the spicy or the volcano burrito and the volcano taco, they've been off the menu for like over 10 years now, and they're bringing it back. And like I said, there was all this petitioning going on, and at Taco Bell said, they tweeted out, "We're just a social media manager who doesn't have the power to bring back menu items. Come on, guys." And then they quote tweeted themselves and said, "Psych, volcano menu is coming back, available later this year." Like I said, starts in June.
I get it. The craving, the hankering once a year. And when I go, I've probably seen it. Probably saw it in action at Fantasy Camp. How hard did I go?
It was frightening.
It was like $40 worth. And I was like, hey, if I'm doing it, I'm not going to a taco, some nachos.
I finished my meal. You said another like 15 minutes.
I was like, can he do it? And he could.
He did.
He did.
Double Decker Taco Supreme was one of my favorites.
Just delicious.
Crunchwrap Supreme,
Delicious.
cheesy gordita crunch.
It's not.
You got to be in the mood. You got to be feeling really bad about yourself.
You do. Yeah. At your lowest. Like that's bottom for me these days. Which is good. If that's my bottom, then that's good. But when it hits hard.
Taco Bell taco or Jack in the Box taco?
Jack in the Box taco. Easily.
Which is
Bell.
crazy.
By
I mean,
far.
there's nothing
They're
nothing
I've never liked the
Mexican
Jack in the Box
food like
tacos.
about
Crazy.
a Jack in the Box taco, yet it satisfies something primal.
Yeah. It's that slice of Velveeta cheese in the middle or
And
something.
anything that you can get two of for 99 cents in the year 2023, okay by me.
By the way, recently was having a rough day and I got a delivery and I got the mini box of mini tacos, and I think it's to share, and I crushed the entire thing of the mini tacos. They're unbelievable. They're My wife, it was late at night on a weeknight, and we have cameras all over our house, and she said, I thought there was an intruder last night at about 8:30. And then I saw you go out and get a secret delivery. It's really fun when all of your moves are filmed. I can get away with nothing in my home, but yeah, I needed some and I got some.
Do we all like to eat snacks privately sometimes?
More than anything.
Yeah.
It's the thing that
If I break out the chips, I don't want anyone watching me eat the chips.
I want to eat. When I'm eating poorly, I want to eat in private.
It's a shameful act.
I'll often sit down at a booth at McDonald's and just eat it there and get rid of any and all evidence. Jack in the Box is the same, and that's what I got that night.
If you put it in the car then smells
car
like
reeks.
it.
Yeah,
It's evidence.
Yep,
It's
exactly right.
olfactory evidence.
You lose one fry in between the cracks and your car is toast.
You're done.
But no, I it's like I'm visiting a prostitute when I get food like that late at night. So I gather from what I hear, from what I understand. So I've heard.
And that is our Rindle report here on Monday. Good job, Paulie.
Thank you.
Let's see. We still have Sammy Spring Training set to join us. I think Bob
Oh.
Melvin meeting with the media as we speak. Hopefully an update, and hopefully a good update on both the injuries to Austin Nola and Juan Soto yesterday.
It's like the worst part of spring training when you have to do the injury update to a couple of guys that you're expecting to be in your starting lineup day one.
We get to all of that coming up with Bennett Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
I was waiting on this one, and I knew it would come. Paul actually threw the chum into the waters as he was talking about Taco Bell. And then Ben brought up Jack in the Box. I was waiting for this response that I knew was going to come. And it was delivered by our pal Alex. Alex says, why would anyone eat Taco Bell, especially in our area with all our amazing, delicious, real, authentic Mexican food we have available to us at Ben and Woods? I knew it was going to come. It's blood in the water, and the sharks come. And I said, because sometimes, man, you just crave the bell. You crave the shredded lettuce, the shredded cheese, you're not sure what flavor the meat is.
Overly crunchy. Taco.
No one's arguing that it's superior.
No.
And no one's calling it Mexican food.
Correct.
Are out there.
No one's saying it's Mexican food. It's Taco Bell. They stand alone. It's like anything. It's the same could be said of why in God's name would anyone go to Mickey D's when you could go to
Rocky's, Hodad's.
Yeah, Hodad's. Name it. There's 1,000 better burgers you're going to eat than a cheeseburger from Mickey D's. Sometimes you just have to have Taco Bell. And like I said, it's one time a year, and I see it and I go, it's like the honing device pulls me in and I can't do anything about it. There's better options.
Homing device.
Homing. What did I say? Homing device. It sucks you
The
in.
bat signal, except it's just a taco.
It's just a gross taco, and you're like, I gotta have it. And not only I have to have it, I need to have a dozen of those bad boys. So yeah, it's sometimes it's just about cravings, right?
Tom asks, hey, if you have a Jack in the Box still at 99 cents for 2 tacos, share the location. Every location, just use the app, and you can get them for 99 cents for 2 still. But I always order off apps now. If a restaurant has an app, that's usually how I'm doing it. It's simpler. It's ready when you get there. You just pick it up. Hey,
is that the most embarrassing app you have on your phone?
Yeah, what is
Jack
the
in the
most
Box?
I don't have any.
I've got a gamut of embarrassing fast food apps.
Here we go.
We got nothing to do for 5 minutes.
Got the
Now we're
Panda
getting
Express app.
Are you
Got the
kidding?
Jack in the Box app, Chick-fil-A app, McDonald's, Five Guys, Rubio's, Kebab Shop,
Holy
Full
hell.
Grill,
You are
Habit, Jersey Mike's. I mean, I don't use them often, a
but
lot of
you've
them, but I
used them
have
once.
them. I feel like, well, why wouldn't you? They give you like points and free stuff, so you might as well. I got the Chipotle app there.
Good
Got the
God.
7-Eleven app. You can actually get real discounts on things at the 7-Eleven app. Domino's. I haven't eaten a Domino's
Now,
pizza
here's
in
the funny thing.
5 years.
He's also the guy that's
Yogurt
like,
Land.
he's the guy, Paul,
Popeyes
that's like,
chicken.
oh my God, you do not have a
You-
Popeyes.
I
app.
do. I never use it, but I've got it. Urban Plates. Haven't eaten there in a long time. I got the Vons app.
That's where my cream pie comes from. Urban Plates.
Yep. Starbucks, obviously.
No wonder your wallpaper was a photo of the Grand Canyon. You don't have any pictures of like your family or anything.
It's all
All
taken
the
up
memory
by
on your
apps.
phone
It's taken up by
is with the
I have the
40 fast
Pac-12
food
app
apps you have.
on my phone just in case San Diego State ever gets invited.
Is that right?
What?
Got the 7 Mile Casino app on my phone. That's a good one to have. Got the Peacock app, even though I don't pay for Peacock anymore, but I might at some point in the future if there's a Padres game.
Would it surprise you that
on
I have
there.
no fast food apps or
Yes, it
restaurants
would.
of any kind in
Yep.
my?
Let's see. I've got the
cache here.
Nordstrom app. I've got the Home Depot app.
I bet you have a lot of delivery apps.
I've
I
got
have
the
one,
Valero
DoorDash.
gas
You use DoorDash?
station app. I've got the Odyssey app on my phone.
I don't actually. Strangely enough.
I do.
Auto Club, Verizon. I've got
Was that OnlyFans?
Peloton. There you
Is that
go.
what is that? Is that OnlyFans?
Auto Club?
Oh, no,
Verizon?
the other one. The
No.
one next to it. Is that OnlyFans?
No. Unless that's a sports app. I might have that one then.
Yes, OnlyFans.
Yeah.
It's for fans of sports.
You should sign up.
She could get away with that. I signed up for this because I thought it was a sports
I
app
have
for
Doodle,
fans.
Doodle Jump app.
What's that?
You ever played Doodle Jump?
I've never even heard of.
You ever played
Jump.
Doodle Jump? Oh, I thought everyone had played Doodle Jump on their phone. Well, download it and tell me you don't get addicted for about a year before I could put that one down.
This kid.
Doodle Jump.
Doodle Jump.
Just sucking down Panda Express playing Doodle Jump.
I like the beef and broccoli. It's not that it's not that unhealthy of an option.
Okay. That's he will not eat at, if we go to Peoria, he won't eat at Chili's. He refuses to. We have to go to Meatball Wheel place. He won't go. He wouldn't get a Domino's pizza, Paulie, if we put a gun to his head.
Right.
But you have all these apps. Is it really just to save money? Or
Yes.
just in case?
Oh,
Be
yeah.
prepared?
Just in case and be prepared and possibly
In case
save
what? Your car breaks down
save some money.
in Grapevine, Texas?
You
I
never
don't
know.
get it.
Yeah, you never know. I should I should download the Whataburger app just in case I'm ever in Texas one of these days.
He just continues to blow my mind.
What are
I do
some
draw the
North
line
Carolina staples. You got all their apps
wait,
already?
Hold on, stop. Great question. Have you been looking at your app Eat Her for your North Carolinian trip?
We're mostly just eating at the golf course while we're there, because Pinehurst's a very small town. It's not like in a city or anything. It's outside of the area. Although Matt Janelle told me about the Track restaurant where they serve breakfast.
Okay.
Really good and cheap, he said. So we'll definitely have to try that when we're out there. And I did look at the Eater app. We're going to eat at a place in Raleigh when we arrive called Pools. But Shelly has
You're
the
on a
cookbook. She loves it.
Got it all
for some
planned out.
elegant golf. You don't have to eat cheap. Just
That's not
Go
cheap. That's
crazy.
a good one. That's a good one.
the first place you said, oh, it's cheap and
It's
easy.
good. It's good. Yeah, I mean, you got to get onto the golf course. We're going to be eating at the halfway house, and
Okay.
it's a golf trip, so it's about the golf, not as much about the eating.
Well, your apps will come in handy, I bet, in the airports that you'll be stopping in, because
That's a
they
good point.
often have
That's a good point
Panda
too.
Express, Jack in the
Those
Box.
are they oftentimes the airport locations don't have the
There's
same
it's
app
their own
service.
thing.
They're kind of on their own operation and not affiliated necessarily with the rest of the chain on apps.
Okay.
So I've definitely run into that problem before.
Continue to blow my mind, man. You continue to blow my mind.
The
I would
journey
have-
through Ben Higgins' apps was.
I would have never guessed that he would
You
have
play a
had
little
this.
doodle jump and you tell me
What
that you
is
can put it down. I'll give it to you on my phone on the break, and you will give me a
Doodle jump.
review of Doodle Jump.
All right.
When we come back, we'll also talk to Sammy Spring Training.
Yes.
Get us the update from Bob Melvin, Austin Nola, Juan Soto. How are they doing after yesterday's injuries? And then we'll wrap up the Monday edition of Ben and Woods right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Looking forward to tonight's game, Mexico-Japan. Really, Roki Sasaki taking the international stage. Maybe a future pitching star in Major League Baseball.
21 years of age.
Going up against your camera is in the wrong spot. So go ahead and fix that. And we will get Sammy Spring Training on the line. He just told Paul, and I had forgotten about this, but this is another scheduled off day for the Padres, which means no manager availability. So we're just hanging maybe on some of this Austin Nola and Juan Soto news, but we will get caught up on everything that happened over the weekend in Arizona with Sammy after a check of traffic. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Remember college? 5 Hour Energy got you through. The energized feeling you relied on back then still works today. Rediscover 5 Hour Energy. It'll get you through again. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Kelly, then Sammy here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Slick roadway is causing some problems this morning. Solo spin out southbound 67 right at the westbound 52 connector ramp. Also a stall on the Adams Avenue off-ramp south 805. Another stall reported on the southbound 5 coastline Manchester off-ramp. Yes, westbound 78 still remains blocked for road work between College and El Camino Real. Give yourself extra time if that is your route because you will be diverted. And just continue to take it extra carefully out there, guys, and have your headlights on so other drivers can see you. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. He has joined us pretty much every day, every show of spring training, and he's down to his final week in Peoria, and then his sentence is over. Sammy Spring Training joins us now on 97.3 The Fan.
The sentence.
Going for any early parole, Sammy?
Good behavior.
No, it is no. It is a joy to be here once again. Greetings from Arizona, but you're right. Only a week left. Hard to believe. I got to be honest, but I think we're all ready to get out of here in a week and get the ball rolling with this season.
Well, it's like that every team right now, Sammy. There's some guys that are nicked up and dinged up and, hurt elbows and sore knees and, strained obliques or broken noses, as it were, for the San Diego Padres. Yeah, it does. It always begs the question, how much spring training is too much. It's just bad luck. I mean, really, it's just bad luck. You've seen the injuries in the WBC. Altuve is a superstar. He'll be out 3 to 4 months. Obviously, we know about Edwin Diaz, but a couple of our own guys we were kind of counting on to contribute early in the season. Juan Soto, Austin Nola. I know that Bob is not talking to the media today, but have you been able to glean anything from some of the people around the team?
Yeah, well, you're right. Off day today, so no Bob Melvin report. Nothing going on at camp today. So I would imagine we won't have any definitive news until tomorrow morning, and then we'll you know what? Tomorrow's a night game, so actually, unless a report comes out from somebody, probably not until tomorrow afternoon will we have any kind of definitive type news or report on what the situation is with Soto and with Nola. Look, with Soto, I know what you guys know as far as the mild oblique strain. I suppose the hope is that it is in fact that mild and hopefully very mild. Because obviously this is an enormously important part of this team, and those oblique strains can be really tricky. I know, Woodsy, you were talking about it earlier, looking at the timeline, what you could find online, I think, about how quickly, oblique strain takes to heal. And it seems like there's a real variance there. And we know just from seeing these injuries over the years that sometimes it can hold you out for a little bit, but sometimes it can be a lot longer than that and really be an extended problem. So I suppose the good news on the Soto front is that this happened yesterday and not this coming Sunday. So there is a period of a week and a half here where you can shut him down and I guess, if worst case scenario, Juan Soto misses a week or two, that's probably not the biggest deal in the world. On the Nola front, we heard from Bob Melvin yesterday, and he said that he thought it hit Nola squarely in the nose, and there wasn't a a ton of information beyond that. And honestly, Bob was talking to us right after the game. He had not gone back to the clubhouse to check on the situation there. But, you know, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out more information on that in the next 24 hours or so as well. You know, with a broken nose, you know, if it is a broken nose, I don't know what the timetable is on that. You know, he is a catcher, you know, with a mask on, but, you know, you're almost guaranteed every so often to get hit in that mask. So I just don't, I don't even know yet what the situation or what the time frame would be like for him. So I suppose, you know, assuming that Austin is relatively okay, the only positive you can take away from these injuries, whether it's Musgrove or Soto or Nola, is that to this point in spring training, the Padres haven't had, you know, again, Nola's situation was very serious yesterday, but from what we know, anything catastrophic like, you know, Altuve being out for months now, or Edwin Diaz, you know, being out for the year. So these injuries happen, and you're right. I mean, you get deeper in spring training and you just say, hey, we can't wait to get out of here and actually get to games that matter, where guys aren't injured in games that don't.
I'll tell you what my timetable would be for returning after getting hit in the face with a major league fastball.
Yours?
Never stepping on
Never
the field again in my life.
Ben
Well,
Higgins
you couldn't
retire.
You couldn't drag me onto the field, you know, to try that again after getting hit in the face with a fastball. But I know Austin Nola will be back out there. He is a tough son of a gun, as so many of those are. So I have to ask you, Sammy, what was Saturday like to finally see it in person? The Mount Crushmore, the Four Horsemen, whatever. We're still trying to figure out what we're calling it. The Four Fathers, F-O-U-R Fathers lineup that Bob Melvin put out there against the Milwaukee Brewers.
It was really cool to see, and you know, a couple of those guys got some hits, and again, it was our first glimpse at the top four in that lineup, and even beyond that, you know, it was a real San Diego Padre lineup, and they produced, and they came back in the game, and it was fun to watch those guys hit. So I know Bob Melvin was really excited about it. The fans were excited about it, and it makes you dream of what this lineup can do on a night-to-night basis when you have those top four guys at the very top of it, and then all the depth that's behind it. And you know, I suppose in the wake of the Soto injury, you know, and Fernando's not going to be there for a while, you just hope that this doesn't become a situation where you don't see the four together for some time.
Yeah, that
into
happens.
The season. I would hate that. Like
that
I
happens.
hate a situation. Right. I would hate a situation where, you know, we're like a couple months in and they still haven't all played together. I think we're a long way from, you know, having that situation. But look, it's definitely based on just seeing it written down and what they did, quite frankly, on Saturday, and you know, seeing these guys hit the ball hard and produce and score runs and drive in runs definitely made you dream about what this team can do on a night-to-night basis. So really fun, really exciting. And unfortunately, maybe with the Soto news, it's the only time in spring training we may see the top four at the very top, but we'll see what things look like moving forward. But no doubt, very, very fun.
I got one. So talking to Sammy spring training, wanted to ask you, were you at the game Friday night for Blake Snell's?
That's what I was going to ask him.
Look at us.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, the one thing about Blake Snell is when he's on and locked in, one of the most devastating, deadly pitchers in the game of baseball. His stuff plays as good as or better than anybody's. The one thing that I think watching him over the years, when he gets into his own head, when he lets, you know, the strike zone bother him a little bit, you know, my wish for Blake Snell has always been, hey man, so what? It was close. You didn't get it called. You have the stuff to get anybody out at any time. He just doesn't employ that very often. When you saw him pitch on Friday, was he frustrated? Because when he gets frustrated, man, it's like he cannot get it back to center. So when you were watching him pitch, I know they pulled him after a couple of hitters and then put him back in. What did you see?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see anything, you know, I didn't see an enormous amount of frustration. I mean, look, again, and we've talked about this, I think you have to take the spring training results with a grain of salt. Now, he did get hit, you know, and did give up runs. It did have to come out of one inning and then went back out and gave up some more, and I'm sure Blake doesn't want that to happen even in a spring training game. I didn't notice anything, any sort of obvious like super frustration. Quite honestly, I didn't hear Blake talk afterwards, but again, for Blake Snell, in my mind, the key for him is get to opening day healthy, which right now he's on track to do. And let's see how the first half unfolds. Let's see how the first couple of months unfold. We know in the past that he's gotten off to some slower starts, but again, to me, it's like get there healthy, and to be honest with you, I didn't notice anything as far as the frustration. It is spring training, and I think at times, these guys are working on some different things, and that's why with the results, I have a hard time putting a ton of stock into it, especially for guys that aren't battling for spots. It's different for the guys that are battling for spots, but especially when you talk to these pitchers, like, they're working on different stuff. Like they're working on a particular pitch, like yesterday, I was talking to Julio Teheran after his outing, and, he was talking about, his two-seamer a lot. And, there are situations where these guys are just really honing in on a particular pitch, a particular element. So I don't know. For me, I don't put a ton of stock into it. I'm sure he would rather have pitched better on Friday night, but I didn't notice anything, super obvious frustration wise. I think for him, get to opening day healthy, and then hopefully get off to a good start. Because honestly, right now with some of the things surrounding this rotation, quite honestly, guys, they really could use Blake Snell to get off to that really good start.
If Sam Levitt had to put money on who he expects to be the opening day starter, just based on the scuttlebutt, I mean, doesn't look like it's going to be Joe Musgrove. I really feel like Yu Darvish is probably going to get the start tomorrow night for Japan if they win tonight, which means they'll probably want him to throw like Monday or Tuesday next week to stay on track, which would then take him out probably for Thursday. Could be Blake Snell. I mean, what are you hearing and thinking, Sam?
It's a great question. You're right on the Darvish. I think all things being equal, I would say Darvish right now. But you're right, that could be somewhat dictated by if he pitches tomorrow, right? So I still would say Darvish. The other complication to that is, if he can only go, a certain number of innings or a certain number of pitches, if he's not stretched all the way out to the point he normally would be on an opening day, is he your opening day starter? I'm still going to go with Darvish because it makes the most sense to me, even though we need to see when he pitches potentially tomorrow and what his schedule looks like. But, could it even be somebody like a Nick Martinez? I mean, he should be pretty much fully built up to the point he would have been had he not gone to the World Baseball Classic. I'll still go with Yu Darvish. I still will. And even I think there's even a scenario where even if he's not built up all the way, opening day could be one of those days where he's on a limit, and then you turn to your bullpen. They do have the off day after the first handful of games. So I'm still going to go with Yu Darvish, but obviously that could pretty quickly change here depending on what his schedule might be.
A couple of weeks ago, we learned about the Levitt family motto, where Sam goes, the champagne flows.
That's right.
This is unbelievable.
And then this weekend, I see Sam Levitt in a Fairleigh Dickinson University
What in the world?
microphone broadcasting situation. And we didn't even know about this. So you actually worked for Fairleigh Dickinson University as well.
I did. It was a brief period. When was it? I guess it was the college basketball season of 2016 into 2017. And then I did some more the next season as well. But yeah, I did men's basketball. I did women's basketball at Fairleigh Dickinson, the Rothman Center. I think it's technically in Teaneck, New Jersey, although I think maybe part of the campus is in Teaneck, part of the campus is in Hackensack. But yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson, the Knights. And it was funny, actually, because I was watching the game with some people at the complex, the end of that game against Purdue, and I just didn't really bring it up. Like I was just watching, and I don't know, I've worked at a lot of schools, so it didn't really stand out to me that much. Like, oh, I've done Fairleigh Dickinson. I was just watching. And then later I posted the photo, and that same group is like, why didn't you say that while we were watching?
Yeah, you're like, Ben, all this gold, and you just sit on it, and then we have to pull it out of you.
Yeah, they're
years
like,
later.
we've never heard of this school. You worked there, so it was cool. It was cool.
Is that
to
gym
see
as
that.
small as the picture that we saw earlier where
So
they play?
here's what I'm going to tell you. There was a picture that I saw on Twitter that is not their gym. So you may have looked at a photo that is not their gym. I don't know what gym that is. They play at, I believe. Well, it depends who tweeted it out. I saw something on Twitter that night that was pretty viral. That was not their gym. And if you read the replies, there were a lot of people saying that's not their gym. They play at but the place they do play at is also very small. I mean, it's a real gym, rec center type vibe with there's one side that's kind of portable stands. It's pretty small for sure. It is not Viejas Arena, in that kind of building. But it was cool. I mean, I don't think anybody that I worked with there is still there as far as I know. Yeah, it was pretty neat to see. Good for them. And yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson back in the day. And yes, you guys are right. Another example of where Sammy goes. Yes.
They may have a delayed effect, but you hire Sammy, good things are going to happen
Eventually,
for your team
yeah, good things
at some point.
Sammy went to some Aztecs games this year.
Yeah.
You've never been to Alabama, right?
Yeah, you've never done anything for Alabama,
No.
correct? Okay.
All right.
Never.
All right.
We're good.
I
Never.
really like our chances.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you guys. I gotta tell you guys. Just one thing on the Sammy Go Champagne Flow saying. I was after we did the Bob Melvin media scrum post game on the field. It's wrapped up and the players are leaving. I'm kind of getting my stuff together and I'm leaving. And I swear, a group of fans, top of their lungs. I have a video of it. I was DM'd the video of it, so I may send it to you guys because it's as clear as day. At the top of their lungs. Where Sammy goes, the champagne flows.
Yeah, we need it. We need to have it. We need it.
Well, Paul, let me ask you this: if I sent this to you, I'm not asking for it to be a drop, but I have a feeling that it could end up being a drop.
We're building
send
the
it
field
back
for
here.
next year already.
Send it
so.
on, Samuel. You know the rules.
All right, Sam. All right, night game tomorrow. So enjoy your last little bit of freedom, and then one strong week left, and we'll see you back here in San Diego in just over a week.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Talk soon.
Sam Levitt on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Yeah, with the Padres not showing up until midday or later tomorrow, Sam might have to work his sources, like texting inside sources to get info for us, which is I always hate. That's the hard. I think that to me is one of the hardest parts of the job. You text AJ sometimes.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
you always
he
worry about it.
Rarely responds, but yeah.
Yeah, Adam Schefter had the whole thing where he texted Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers said, "Lose this number."
Lose my number.
Nice try. Though.
Nice try. Though.
Lose. I mean, that
lose
is
my number.
That is the most awkward and uncomfortable part of being a really good reporter.
I would quit. If Preller did that to me,
lose
I would
this
quit.
number.
If he wants me to quit, he can get me.
Just do
today.
it by saying lose.
Just text me and go lose my number, and I'd be like, sorry, it's now Ben and Paul, and I'm out. That's it for me.
You know what I'm talking about. Though.
Yeah,
I mean, to be a dogged, break the big story type
annoying.
reporter, you
and
have
I do
to
not
be,
like to be annoying.
Yeah, you have to really be writing, people uncomfortable sort of way.
You always see it in the movies. You got to give me something, man. You got to give me something.
Right.
I just watched what was it? State of Play.
You bother them
gotta
so
give me
much
something.
they give you something just so you go away
yeah.
eventually.
Come on, man. I got a story coming out. You got to. Hey, I'm writing this story regardless. You need to comment. You got to give me something. I don't want to be that guy.
But when you're a big name like Adam Schefter, you also know you might need him at some point.
Of course,
so
you can't burn those bridges.
You can't simply just block him and say, you're cut off because you asked me too many questions. You have to every time go, hey, I've got nothing for you right now. I can't give you anything right now, but you got to respond.
Shefty throwing that out there was actually kind of a bad look for him. I thought, now everybody knows Adam Schefter.
I know you respect it, though, that, he's open and showing his progress.
Rogers mentioned it on the Pat McAfee show that everybody was watching. He name dropped Shefty. He goes, I don't know where, Shefty tweeted or texted me, and I just said, bro, lose my number. So then Adam Schefter was like, yeah, here's
Yeah,
the proof
Okay,
right
that's
here.
why he did it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why he did it. Wow, that would be. Anybody ever get rude with you and comment like text back?
I don't think so, but then again, I'm not Adam Schefter. I don't.
You're Ben Higgins.
I pick my moments when I need it. I'm not bothering guys 5 times a day to try to break a story.
Fair enough.
Usually. So maybe that's a failing of mine. All right, good Monday show, everybody. That flew by. We got Braden, the coach, coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. The executive producer of Ben and Woods is Paul Reinl. Good job, Polly. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Monday. Be safe out on those roadways from all of us here. 97.3 The Fan. Talk to you later.